Hey everyone, welcome to Dalibel Podcast, episode 108. This episode, we're going to be talking about our top 5 games we played this year, with our number one being our game of the year. So we hope you enjoy this episode. Of course, I have Great White North, who's been here before. Buddy, if you want to introduce yourself, where they can find you and everything.
Hello, this is the Great White North speaking. You can find me on YouTube. Great White North Presents is probably the easiest way to find me. I usually play a lot of retro games, but I also play some newer games as well. Thursdays is typically my SNES Thursdays, but lately I've been doing a survival horror game just for the to have fun, a little change. But yeah, you can find me there, and yeah.
And of course, for the first time, the Comic Man. Dan, give your stuff, buddy.
Hello. Yeah, so I'm also on YouTube. You can find me under TheComicman. I stream 4 times a week usually, if I'm able. And I like to play a lot of different kinds of games. I do play retro games. I play modern games. My wife Felicia will join me usually on Sundays and Tuesdays, and we play games together. Well, usually I play them, and she hangs out and gives snarky commentary.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, so yes, this is that time of the year. We're giving our for 2024, we're going to give our top 5 games we played. It's not necessarily games that released this year, but stuff that we enjoyed that caught our eye that are notable amongst everything else that released this year. So, I will start with Great White North. If you want to go ahead and give your number 5.
Uh, uh, this is subject to change, but at the moment, I guess my number five would be called The Chant. I actually found this sitting in our one of our little end areas for like $20. I'm like, what the heck is this? So I grab it, look at it. Oh, it's a survival horror game. I'm gonna check it out, try it out, and phenomenal game. For I think it's an indie company that made it. It's about this girl that goes to this island and meets up with this cult like uh, people and all that. Then she gets grasped into this crazy monsters about flowers and things like that, trying to survive and using crystals to um, as weaponry and things like that. And I thought, you know what, for something, I think it came out a couple of years ago, and I finally got a chance to play it this year just because I happened to notice it for a cheap price. I was actually really blown away by how good the game is, the gameplay, the story, the characters are phenomenal. It's not their best looking game, of course, because of the probably had a lower budget, but it was well done. The music, it was eerie, it was creepy, it was strange, but it was just a lot of fun. It's called The Chant for, I think it's on multiple platforms. I'm not 100% sure, but it's definitely for the PS5. It's called done by Brass Token. I'm kind of quickly looking at it there,
Yeah, yeah, no,
but
it's cool.
yeah,
So
a
it's
lot of
like
fun.
survival horror.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's a survival horror kind of thing. Like, gotta try to find your way off the island after an incident that occurs with the cult that's there. Um, it's been rampaging the area for a little while with these weird flower monsters, and some of the cultists are like turn into something else. And yeah, it's such a strange game, but it's a lot of fun. And I think that was my number five for the year, just because it was kind of a surprise to me. And I thought, you know what? Yeah, I'll put that as my number five for the game of the year of this year. Enjoyed it.
cool. Danny, did you have you ever heard that game before? I've never
I
heard of
had
it.
not, no. Yeah,
Mm-mm.
I
Yeah,
hadn't heard of it.
very, very much surprised. I didn't even hear about it. And like I said, I just happened to notice it there. I'm like, yeah. So I'm surprised nobody, I'm not surprised that nobody heard about it, but no, I'd say check it out. It's pretty cheap. I think I
Yeah,
paid $20 and that's Canadian. So
that's not bad. I mean,
Yeah,
it'll probably be
yeah,
$20 for us too.
yeah.
Yeah, I wrote it down. I'm gonna write down the list things I've never heard, so I can go look these up later on.
mhm.
But yeah, awesome. So, Dan, what you got?
All right, so my number five is not just one game, but it's a collection of 50 games. And I don't have it, unfortunately, I don't have it on a physical copy because currently it's only, I believe it's at the moment only a PC game.
Okay.
Um, and it's called UFO 50. So what UFO 50 is a collection of 50 games that came out in the 80s, early 80s to early 90s by one company called UFO Soft. So it's kind of like Atari 50, like if you guys remember Atari 50,
Hmm.
right? It was like this whole historical document of Atari games in the past, right? Now the difference between Atari 50 and UFO 50 is that UFO Soft never actually existed. So what it is, it's a bunch of guys who did a bunch of like 8-bit and 16-bit games in the style of what was coming out at that time. So it's almost like this artifact from an alternate dimension. And so you have all these games, you have platformers, you have puzzle games, you have RPGs, you have sports games, all these games that came out for this machine called, or from a company called UFO Soft, for a machine that also doesn't exist. I can't remember the name of the machine now, but there was also like an NES and also an SNES style system, but like it's not a real system either, right? So like it's this really interesting sort of alternate universe, like historical document of this company that never existed, of all these games that we never got here in our universe, right? And so, but it's really interesting to kind of like these guys didn't just think about and every game is a fully playable game, like it's a proper game. It's not just like a demo or a very short thing or whatever, right? But like if you can imagine like those, those early NES or Master System games, right? Some of them are short, but some of them are long, and they're all hard as nails, right? And this is the case for UFO 50 as well. So like it's really sort of a really interesting experiment, and not every game in the collection of 50 is like real is good, right? Some of them are like a bit janky, some of them are just like, at least me, right? Like they're not particularly interesting to me as a gamer, but like by and large they're good games. And like I said, each one is a properly real game, fully complete game that you can play from start to finish and beat it, if you were so inclined. And like I think the best part is that you can see sort of like the design ethos of this company as they go from, game one to game two to game three, all the way to their final game. And you can kind of see like the trajectory that this company, this fictitious company took as they were designing their games, and sort of like not just like their own trajectory within the company of like, oh, let's do this again but make it better, or let's do this again but with a different mechanic, but also like that they were sort of like responding to other things happening at the same time. So they would respond to, because in this alternate universe, and Nintendo still exists and Sega still exists, so they were responding to the things that Nintendo and Sega were doing, and then trying to make their own version of it as well. So it's a really interesting thing. And like every game also has like, besides being a game, it also has this small amount of like biographical data of the game, of like when it came out, and like and a little like line of like of how it came about and who created it within the company. And it's great. Like I love these sorts of little like these sort of like little fictions that are like documents from a fictitious place, or a fictitious time, and you get to read of what about like what these people were doing, and how they did it and things. It's really great. Yeah.
That is awesome.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
love that idea, man.
Yeah,
I
I
need to
definitely
check
want to
this
check
out.
that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I should also say like all my top five games did come out in 2024, so this one did come out in 24. There is rumors and talk that it will be coming out for consoles as well, and I hope that means that there will also be a physical release, because I would love to get a physical release for Switch or PS5, wherever it comes out, because like that is it's a really nice. And I hope that they like, when it does come out with, if it does come out with physical release, that they'll do something similar with the packaging of making it look like it comes from the 80s or the 90s. Yeah.
Now you said you got it on PC. Is it like on Steam, or is
Yeah,
it
Steam. I
working
got it
On
on
Steam,
properly?
Steam.
okay.
I assume it's also like on Epic and GOG. Like a lot of things are on
Okay,
everything now, but I definitely got it on Steam. Yeah.
Steam. Okay, okay. I
Man,
was
that's
just curious
cool.
because I want to check it out myself. So
Mm.
So did they like does the game start out being like really simple to more difficult, more like did they branch into different genres and stuff in some of the games as well?
Yeah. So actually, the very first game is actually quite tough. It's not simple at all. I think it's that sort of like NES ethos of just like having this just hard hard game that you don't really know what you're doing at first. And you kind of have to figure everything out. Because I haven't beaten any of the 50 games yet, right? Like I played through most of them, but I haven't beaten all of them. I haven't beat any of them actually, because like some of them are really hard.
Really hard.
And like I wanted to kind of like just sort of like come, get through as many games as possible, like get a feel for them and stuff. But like there's this but like the very first game, it's almost a Metroidvania. Like it's almost like
Oh,
Metroid,
wow.
like original Metroid with like no map, no nothing. You're not sure where you're supposed to go, what you're supposed to do. It's really quite interesting. And then there's also and there's one game, I think my favorite game so far is this game. I forgot what it's called. It's this like a windjammer type thing, but instead of like a frisbee, it's like two samurai, and they're like you've gotta use your katana to hit the ball or whatever it is across like the yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, that's
that is
interesting.
cool, man. All right, you have me hyped for this. I got to pick this up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's
same.
really it's really fun. And like I said, it's like and like not every game is a winner. Like I said, some of them are iffy, right? But I think your mileage will vary. Like a lot of people
Hmm.
like different kinds of games because there's everything is in this here. Like I said, you've got sports, you've got RPG, you've got Metroidvanias, you've got platformers, you've got puzzle games. Everything is here. Yeah.
That is too
Something for
cool.
someone, something for
Yeah.
Yeah.
everybody. You know what I mean?
Something for
Yeah.
everybody. And
I
just
love.
like as a fake historical document, it's amazing. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
that's
cool.
what I was gonna say. Is I love this idea of it being this alternate history of something.
Yeah.
Man, that is so cool. I gotta check that out.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So, my first game or for the my fifth game for the list, of course, didn't come out in 2024, but I was playing it on the PS4 and then on my PS5, but like right after I had two surgeries. So it was like kind of really cool to go back to these games, and it was a collection, and that's the
Ah.
Final Fantasy collection. So it was nice to be able to go through these, play them while I was recovering and everything. I mean, what's not to love? I think at the time, like I played through 4 and 6, so it was like two of the greatest of the series. And I was a blast going to like relive through these games again, and especially with the pixel remasters and seeing all the different add-ins that you could do to make the game tougher or make it even easier, make yourself super overpowered, because you could increase your XP amount that would drop or the money that would drop or have it to where there was like no encounters, so you just fought bosses. So your mileage varies depending on what you want to do with the game, but yeah, it was good. It was just very nostalgic, and it was great to be able to start going back through the Final Fantasy games again, especially with the new or touched up art style with the same UI that kind of translates through all the games now instead of it being kind of slightly different per release from the NES all the way up to Super Nintendo. But yeah, that was mine. I
Nice.
loved it.
I I actually bought two copies of this game because I found a cheap Switch copy in Korea, and then I
Ooh,
found a cheap PS4 copy in Dubai. So I ended up picking both of them up. Yeah.
nice, nice. I have it on Steam and on the PS5.
Yeah.
And multiple versions of four because that is my all-time
Hmm.
favorite Final Fantasy. But man, the music, the remix of the music in those games are phenomenal. I'm
Hmm.
surprised how good they are. So I agree with you. It was a lot of fun to go through those games again. I would like to platinum each and every one of them because I've been doing that on the Steam version. I'm just platinum hog when it comes to PS5 and 4 and
Yeah.
3, whatever. But awesome pick.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with Final
Yeah.
Fantasy
I
Pixel
mean,
Remaster.
and that's like why I bought it on the Switch was because it's like I'd love to be able to take this on the go, and then I
Hmm.
already had it digitally on the PlayStation because I ended up getting I think a $60 gift card. I just paid the difference to get it all of the games at one
Oh,
time.
nice.
So, but eventually I'll pick up the a physical copy of it, just that way I have it to go with my other Final Fantasy stuff. But yeah.
I almost picked it up digitally, but I was annoyed that I had to and I don't know, this might be just the Asia store, but I was annoyed that I had to buy each one individually instead of like as a collection.
Oh,
You
okay,
do.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah,
you do
okay.
on
Yeah.
digitally. Yep.
yeah.
So I was
Yeah.
very annoyed, and I was like, "No, I'm not gonna. I'll wait. I'll wait until I can eventually
I'm
find a
glad
physical
that
copy."
yeah, I'm glad that PS5 did have a collection version, even
Hmm.
though it's the digital, the one I have. I've
Hmm.
been thinking of grabbing the one you have there, Vince, the for the
Yeah, the,
Switch.
the the for the Switch, yeah, because like the Switch is like one of the best consoles we've gotten in a long time. Being able to like literally take it on the
Yeah.
go, and
Yeah,
to be able to put on your
love this system.
TV. Yeah. I mean, I love my PS5 and everything. I love the PS. I'm a PlayStation guy, but I do love Xbox. I mean, I'm a gamer, but
Yeah.
to be able to take this on the go just is so cool to me.
Yeah,
It's something I've
yeah,
always wanted to have as a kid. So,
yeah. Definitely agree with that.
but all right, back to you, Jason. What do you got, brother?
All right, so for number four, um, I guess I'll have to go with this one, Stellar Blade,
Blade.
just because nice hack and slash game, a lot of fun, very reminiscent of Nier Automata, which was a phenomenal RPG, action RPG, and the storyline in that was probably one of the best storylines I've ever played as a video game. This one is very similar in that style. You play as a girl named Eve trying to help out humanity, fighting against these creatures and things like that. And the story takes very interesting turns and twists and turns and things like that. The music's phenomenal. The gameplay is a lot of fun. And I just had a blast playing it. It was nice to play a nice hack and slash close to a RPG level, but it's not quite there because you don't get levels per se. Um, I don't know. It was a lot of fun to play. It's just, I think that was one of my favorite experiences of the year. I actually ended up platinum it. And I told my friend, I'm going to be platinum this for you because I know you like me to do that for you in the first place, just because I had a lot of fun playing it. So I did quite a number of playthroughs for that game, and I'm thinking of doing it on the channel soon enough. So highly recommend it if you like hack and slash and if you played like the Nier series and things like that. You'll definitely have a lot of fun with this one as well.
It's
They
definitely
had
on
a
my back
near.
catalog.
Oh, sorry. I was
Oh,
gonna say
there you
Yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah,
they had a near crossover as well, right? Like there's like
Oh
costumes or
yes, the
something.
yeah.
Yeah,
DLC stuff. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So I'm sold. I've been on the fence for Stellar Blade for a while now.
Hmm.
But you've sold me, Jason. I will pick it up.
Well, I am a salesman after all.
Right, right, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it definitely is one of the ones that I played the demo of, but I have the game. I just never got around to playing it because I think other stuff was coming out, and
Hmm.
but I'm gonna play through it. I just gotta get some time.
Yeah, like I said, if you have played the Nier series, especially Automata,
Hmm.
you will probably enjoy this one. It might be a little derivative, but hey, not every game has to be like groundbreaking to be a
Yeah.
good game and have fun with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sometimes you just as long as they're fun, like that's good enough,
Exactly.
right? It doesn't have to
Yeah,
be, yeah.
And the soundtrack's phenomenal. Holy crow! I cannot fathom the cannot stress it enough. If you want to listen to the soundtrack after, you'd be blown away. It's so good.
nice. All right,
And
Dan, what you got?
that
Yeah,
was my
so
sales.
my number four game is probably the most mainstream one. And in fact, it won Game of the Year at the Game Awards, I believe. And that is Astrobot.
Astrobot.
Astrobot is my number
Nice.
four. This is a fantastic platformer. If you, I mean, anybody who owns a PS5 automatically got free Astro's Playroom. And if you played through and enjoyed Astro's Playroom, which is a sort of a short version of this, then you will definitely love this. This is a much like it's just a much bigger, more robust version of Astro's Playroom.
Okay.
And like if you have watched me on my channel, I complain about 3D platformers all the time because I'm just not very good at them, generally speaking. But Astrobot is just like smooth as butter, control wise. It's really good. The platforming is excellent. Um, and like the whole game is just a love letter to like the history of PlayStation as well. And you know, I've had PlayStation since the PS2 and the PS1. I at the time I was still with my parents and we were poor, so I didn't have a PS1, but I borrowed my friends. So I've been with PlayStation since the very beginning. You know, since they started. And so like going like rescuing all the different little bots that are like based on different PlayStation characters is really fun. The hub
Oh,
world is really
nice.
fun as well. It's interesting. And like it's just every level is just really well crafted, really well made. And I like it really reminded me of my all-time favorite 3D platformer, which is Super Mario Galaxy 2. Um, and this really reminds me of that, of just how like different the levels are, how varied they are, how like you get little power-ups in Astrobot that, make traversal different and interesting in different levels. And it's just, yeah, this is my number four. It's very, very good.
Well, I guess it kind of sold me on that. I've been wondering about this game, and I'm like, a one game of the year. Okay, now I'm really curious.
Yeah.
Now you just talked about it, how the game is, and with the gameplay being very fluid,
Yeah.
which is what you want out of a
Hmm.
platformer game,
Yeah.
especially. Um, so yeah, I might actually check it out then.
And they
Thank you for that.
they've got a couple of time trials. They recently added them as DLC, some time trials. Some of them are quite difficult. But you get to rescue more PlayStation bots, more PlayStation branded bots, and they're very, like I said, it's all very fun. And it's not just PlayStation. Sorry, I should say it's not just PlayStation, because like they have like Resident Evil bots, so that's Konami, right?
Oh,
Or not
neat.
Konami,
Oh
sorry,
yeah,
Capcom.
nice.
They've got Metal Gear Solid bots, so that's Konami. So like they've got other like stuff that's of the history of PlayStation, even though they're not owned by PlayStation, right? So yeah, it's very good. Yeah, it's very
Nice
fun.
collaborative effort on that then, if that's the
Yeah,
case. Wow.
yeah,
It's one of those things like it has been asked by Santa to get this gift. But I'll leave it at that. But I haven't played it, of course, but I've watched people play it, and it looks phenomenal. And it reminds
yeah.
me a little bit of like what I would think like the next generation of like Little Big Planet would have been, you know. So
Mm,
it's really cool to
Yes.
see a game that resonates with a lot of people as much as this game does. And it's well deserved for game of the year for a game that everyone can access and just have a good time with it. There's
yeah.
nothing more than just platforming and fun. And that's what gaming's all about. So
Yeah,
And
it
you may have
sounds very
forgotten.
accessible.
Oh, sorry, I was going to say you may have forgotten, Vince, but there actually was a new Little Big
there
Planet.
was, there
What is it?
was,
The
yeah.
Hmm.
I did
Sackboy
forget
thing.
about
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Which I haven't played. I've heard good things about that one as well, but I've not played it
mhm.
yet. Yeah.
I haven't played it yet either. That's why
Yeah.
I think I need to pick it up. I don't think it's one of the ones I have yet. So,
We'll
but
get there eventually, right?
yeah, exactly. I got 40 years, hopefully.
Yeah.
But
Right.
yeah, no, that's awesome. And it's cool that like it's a game that made it on our list at least with one way or another. Because it's always funny when there's these five games at the Game Awards and like they're not anything that you've played. You're like,
Yeah.
I have no understanding of why this won, but okay. Um, but so another game that I'm for my number five is another game that didn't come out this year, but it was one that I picked up to play with my friends, but never got a chance to, but only really got to do recently, and it just tickled all my like nostalgia for this character and his movies and like it's been really good being able to play this with like Tib and Stark and all that stuff, and that's the Evil Dead, the video game. This is super fun. It's
Yes.
cheap right now, like, and it's crossplay. So, and that's another thing. It's like being able to play this with anybody as long as you have one of the consoles or the PC. But yeah, like, you can get this like $11 on 11 or $14 on Amazon right now. Um,
Ooh.
but it's great. It's Bruce Campbell's doing the voice. I mean, you got all these just iconic levels from any one of the movies or the TV series. You got multiple versions of Ash. I love the fact that like there's enough on the map that keeps you kind of guessing where you need to go, and you just stumble upon these iconic locations. His car's in it. It's great. I love it. It's definitely a breath of fresh air compared to all the other multiplayer stuff that has been coming out lately.
Mm.
I mean, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is fun, but it's like there's much more than just going around killing people. I got to
Mm.
go find these items. I got to do this. We got to stop the evil. Yeah, I love it. So, but yeah, that's my number four.
Coming from a huge fan of the Evil Dead movies and things like that, like we watched the trilogy there not long, well, a few months back.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to play that game just because, it'd be fun to play with friends and,
Hmm.
you know, go to the locations that we kind of used to, but not always. It just sounds like a fun game to get into.
And
and it's
being able to
Ash. Like, come on.
play the bad guys too, like you can play the Deadites and stuff, and there's
Ah, that's
iconic
awesome.
monsters from the show, and it's so cool. Just like being able to possess a tree and scare somebody or attack them is awesome. But
Yeah,
Like
definitely want to
it's
pick it up. It's that cheap for sure.
I find it like quite interesting because like there's been sort of like this sort of style of game where you have like that's based on these old horror properties, right? Like you had
Hmm.
Texas Chainsaw, you have Friday the 13th, and you have now Evil Dead / Army of Darkness. But I wonder like where the Nightmare on Elm Street version of this is. Because
Oh
like
boy.
that would be like you could have a lot of interesting things with that one because it takes place in dreamscapes and stuff, and like
yes,
that would
Yeah.
be you have a lot of varied levels that way. I've not played this game, and I'm unlikely to, mostly because I tend to be a more single player
their
person,
game. Mhm.
uh, and mostly because I tend to not like other people. uh,
That's right.
I
I
want a
understand.
game by myself.
Well,
I'm
like
also just like honestly, I'm just not very good. Like, when I'm playing a single player game, I can up or I can move the difficulty level, right? If it's too hard, I
yeah.
can move it down. If it's too easy, I can move it up. But like on a multiplayer game, if I'm just not as good as everybody else, I'm just not as good, and I'm just gonna keep getting murdered all the time or lose, whatever we're playing. So I very rarely play multiplayer anything.
Well, and that's
Fair
what's
enough.
cool about like some of these games too is like you can just play a support role. That's what all you're
Hmm.
doing is you're supporting other players. That's one of the things I loved about Left 4 Dead, 1 and 2. You could be just the person that goes around healing, gives them ammo and whatever, and let the other three guys go and do other things that you can't do because of the enemies and stuff. But Team Fortress as well, any kind of one
Hmm.
games like those. But um no, I understand that. Like I used to be a single player guy. I mean, I really do. Generally, I love playing RPGs and single player stuff. I want a story, but
Yeah.
years of playing Call of Duty and other FPSs and stuff like that, it's fun. So having something that's themed to a property that you enjoy makes it even better. Um, but I would love, yeah, Freddy would be cool, or
Yeah.
um, Halloween would be nice.
Oh yeah.
You're in a neighborhood trying to like, stop Michael Myers from killing everybody,
Yeah.
or something. That'd be cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's
All right,
really
Jason.
cool. All right. For number three, I haven't got too far yet because I'm slowly enjoying it. But East 10 Nordics. It's an ease game. Usually when they come out, it's going to be in my top five for sure. East is my favorite action RPG series. I put it ahead of Zelda, and a lot of people like the Zelda series a lot more, but no, no. Adol Christian is an amazing hero. He's been doing this for a long time now, in many series, many games. But I'm loving the story so far. I haven't, like I said, I haven't finished the game yet, but it's definitely in my top five for sure. Loving the story, loving the characters. Dogi's awesome. Um, and the new girl, can't think of her name off the top of my head right now, but the
I
music's
can't think of her
great.
name either.
Yeah, but she's a spitfire, that's for sure. But it's just a lot of fun. But it's an action RPG, gaining your levels, going helping out the people, and doing what Adol does all the time. He goes to a new place, helps the people out. I'm just enjoying it. It's like I can't say enough of what the E series has brought to my table. I love it. I know you played a lot more of it. You've actually did the nightmare mode and things
Mhm.
like that. So I know I don't know the ending of the story yet. I just know it's very early in the storyline, which is surprising. It's East 10, even though it's technically the third story in the
Yeah, I believe it's the
timeline.
third story in the timeline. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, which Othan Falgana is was always part three to me, but I guess technically this is part three. But they're doing the Zelda thing, and timelines all over the place. But
Yeah, you just never know.
exactly, it's just a great, 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 great game. Just a lot of fun. Again, so mostly been fun games this year for me. A couple surprises that are coming very shortly. Um, Definitely one of them, anyways. But yeah, no, highly recommend. If you've never played an Ys game, this is an easy one to get into because it's so early on in his storyline. Even though you should try Ys one, two, book one and two, phenomenal series. So yeah,
I
definitely in my
have
opinion.
never played an Ys game. Yeah, I've never played one.
They're good.
I was a Zelda boy, right, from a young age, a Zelda kid. Um, in fact, had I played Echoes of Wisdom, I probably would have been on my top five because that's how much I love Zelda. But like, I do have access to Is book one and two because of the what's it called, the PC Engine Mini. It's
Yes,
on.
Oh
Yes, it
yes, okay,
has
it
okay.
is
both
on
of
there.
them. Yeah, it has both in English and Japanese. So I mean, I'm not going to play the Japanese version, obviously, but yeah, so I do have access to those two. So yeah, I've heard lots of good stuff about the Is series. And I just again because it's an RPG, I'm always afraid that like it's going to take forever to actually like get through. So I that fear has kept me from actually starting them and playing them.
Well, to be fair with the E series is they're not super long or action RPGs.
No.
They're long, but they're not like you're not going to be playing 40, 50 hours unless you
Okay,
do every
are they
nook
like
and
Zelda
cranny. You
length?
gain levels, so it's definitely more
Okay.
RPG
Yeah,
style.
it's more
But
action. Yeah, it's more definitely more action RPG. Or so it's action. You're hitting,
Hmm.
slashing, stuff like
yeah,
that, dodging out of the way of things. I mean, it's very Zelda as the combat side of things. But as far as like, you do solve puzzles, there's certain other aspects of it that are different than what you would normally get in a Zelda game.
Hmm. I meant like lengthwise. Like, is it like the length of a Zelda, like generally
I
speaking,
guess
or
you
is it
could say that.
longer?
It depends
Yeah,
on
I would
which
say that.
Zelda, mind you.
Hmm.
Okay.
Twilight
Yeah.
Princess is
Okay.
probably one of the longest ones, besides the Breath of the Wild and Tears of the
Mm-hmm.
Kingdom, because you
Yeah.
can make it a short or long depending on what you do. But no, they're not. I think you could probably knock a few of them out of the park within 10 hours. Like book one and
Okay.
two,
Yeah, those
definitely.
are real short. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe when I finish my Zelda run, maybe I'll do at least is book one and two for my
So
advanced
if you
PlayStation video
do,
games.
don't worry about the hack and slash. It's called the bump system.
Yes.
So you bump
Okay.
into the enemy in the
Oh,
first two.
okay. All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you just walk into them and then they'll just die. It was very unique when I played it for the first time. I was like, "What is this?"
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Um, but yeah, no, Ease, man, dude, like Ease Nordics is so good. I couldn't put it down because like you have this whole thing of being able to upgrade your ship and like you're finding new characters to add on to your crew and I loved it. The story was good. It was very intriguing. I mean, you can ask my wife. I just sat there and played this game until I finished it. I mean, I had to go to work, but then I was thinking about the game at work. But it was really good to have a traditional, kind of like action RPG that didn't feel like I was like there was so much more stuff just being layered onto me that like makes the game more difficult. And especially if it's like, well, there's a new game that came out. I may not come back to this for 6 weeks. Come back to it. I have no clue what I'm doing. I forgot all the
Right.
muscle memories. But no, this is really good. It's got a great story. Um, the characters are amazing. The music is awesome. But yeah, it's a really good one. I highly recommend.
Yeah. Unlike Zelda, though, most Zelda games is a new Link.
Hmm.
Most Ys games is the same guy named
Oh, okay.
Adol.
Yeah.
He's in almost every one of them except for Ys Origins, because it takes place 700 years before him. But
Got it.
and I'm really into Ys. Got the art book as well.
Nice.
Nice.
Phenomenal series. Love it.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, I actually got into it because of Happy Console Gamer, watching his stuff and him talking about it. I was like,
Oh,
I need to check
nice,
this out
nice.
because I remember seeing 3 on Super Nintendo and that was about, I never picked it up. I was like, this game looks weird.
Oh yeah, because that one is kind of the weirder ones. It's a
Yeah.
side-scrolling action RPG, whereas most of them are top view almost these days. But
Hmm.
yeah,
Which is funny because like if you guys have ever played Popful Mail for the Sega
yes,
CD, it's very that 3 is very similar in that style. Um The Powerful Mail is great. Has a great comedy and stuff. That's something that I'd recommend for people to check out if they haven't played it before.
I
The
think I
character.
have that on my PS3, like the classics or something like that.
Mm.
Hmm.
Or yeah, I haven't played too much, but I do remember it.
Yeah. But all right, Dan, what you got?
Oh yeah, so my number three is my favorite genre. It's a game from my favorite genre of video games, and that is a Metroidvania. I love Metroidvanias, and this year Metroidvania fans got to eat. Like there was a lot of excellent Metroidvanias, and I'm just gonna very quickly go through a couple. So my boy here, Bo, this is a plush. I kickstarted this game, so I got a plushie, and it's called Bo Path of the Teal Lotus. That was an excellent Metroidvania this year. There was also hold on. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, which was really good.
I need to get that.
Um, oh, it's
I
so
haven't
good.
played it yet. I heard of good things.
Yeah, there was also Ultros, which is a very like weird and interesting type of Metroidvania that
Huh. Okay.
it's a little bit like a roguelike, sort
Hmm.
of, but not like quite. But like because there's like a lot of it's really weird. There's a lot of growing of plants and stuff. It's really interesting. Definitely more of a more a more interesting Metroidvania than what we normally get. And then the other one that I really quickly want to shout out is Tales of Kenzera Zao, which is based on like
I care about
Bantu
that.
culture and mythology, and but it mostly deals with like grief and how we process or don't process our grief and what that can potentially do to us as individuals. And it's got a really interesting message, but like the gameplay is also quite good. But none of those, as good as they are my number three. My number three is Animal Well, which I
I
again
hear
only
about this.
have digitally. Yeah, Animal Well is a really like it's really weird when you first start it. You play this tiny little creature. You don't really know what kind of creature even. Like it's just this little animal, and you have to run around this quite enormous map. Like Metrovanias, sometimes you'll have big Metrovanias, sometimes you have small Metrovanias that are also called Minivanias. But this one's a properly large Metroidvania. And the map is super interesting because like every biome is like once you like fully flesh out the map, every biome looks like the shape of an animal. So there's like one that looks like a kangaroo, one that looks like a an ape of some kind. It's quite interesting the map, but like this is a weird game because you're not told like in the style of the original Metroid, you're not really told what you're supposed to be doing, what you're supposed to be go getting. So you kind of have this. It's fairly open in terms of exploration, but obviously, like a good Metroidvania, lots of stuff is locked off until you find the right power that will open that particular path, right? Um, and it's just very like esoteric. Like I can't like I was unsure of how high to put this on my top five, and even if it should go on my top five. But because like there's a lot of it that I don't quite understand, and a lot of it that like the designer himself said like that he purposefully made obtuse and difficult to like there's a lot of puzzles that I have like I platinumed this game, but there's a lot of extra puzzles that are like really like you really have to like dive deep into this to like properly figure out, and I've not done that, right?
Okay.
There's a lot of puzzles in this game that I still haven't completed because I just don't know what it's asking of me to do. Like what am I supposed to go do? Some of it is like ARG based where you have to like go outside of the game and like try to find like hunt like clues down and things like this, right? So it's like not sorry, not ARG. What's the word?
Uh,
ARPG? I can't remember. It's the one
Augmented
where you go
reality. Yeah,
no, not augmented reality,
or
but
no,
it's
what?
like
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't remember what
yeah.
the term is.
I forget what the actual acronym is, but it's the one where you like go outside of the game and like look for clues and stuff, and then you bring those clues back into the game to solve the puzzle, right? And I
Hmm.
forget what that's called, but it starts with
Hmm.
an A. I just can't remember what it is. But yeah, so there's a lot of like a lot of weird and interesting things, but like the gameplay itself, like it's a very tight Metroidvania. Um, and I think it was the one that I enjoyed the most out of all of them. And I will eventually get a physical copy of this because actually the version that I played, I got to play for free because of my PS Plus subscription. So it was like a
Yeah.
day one release on PS Plus, and so I immediately played it, and it got me. It had me for until I finished it. This is one of those games where like I didn't stop, right? Like a lot of these other games, a lot of these other Metroidvanias that I just mentioned, like I haven't even finished them because I stopped. Something else came up and I was playing that instead, so I've stopped the game, right? But this one had me from the beginning, and it didn't let go until I finished. And like I said, I haven't even finished every puzzle, but like once the the platinum trophy popped, I was like, I think
I'm
I can
done.
call this complete, even though I've not quite finished every puzzle. Yeah, but it's really really good, even as weird and as like obtuse and esoteric as it can be. And I know that's not everyone's cup of tea. Like, sometimes you gotta have like this doesn't have like a proper story per se, but like the ultimate goal is to escape the well. You are stuck in a well with all these other animals, and the main goal is to escape. But what does that look like? And it's quite interesting when you finally get there. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I know I downloaded it, but I haven't checked it out. But I did see it was like I think it was on the list of like best indie game or something like that, and I
Mm.
was like, I gotta check this out. It looks good. But
It's
I didn't
it's
know it
really
was a
good.
Metroidvania though.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Like I feel like the sort of the marketing, if you could call it that, for this game has been also quite mysterious almost.
Hmm.
Because like I had to really dig to find out this, like before it came out, I had to really dig to find out this was a Metroidvania, which is what originally got me excited for it, right? I was like, oh, it's got a really nice pixel art as well. It looks like a 16, well, it's slightly better than a 16-bit game, but like it looks yeah, it's got really nice pixel art. And I was, yeah, I was really surprised at how much it really sort of grabbed me, even though I half the time I didn't know what was happening. Yeah.
And it's called Animal Well?
Yeah.
Animal well, yeah, animal well,
Okay.
because you're an animal in a well, yeah, with a bunch of other
Okay,
animals.
I'll
Yeah,
have to take a look into that.
yeah,
I do
it's
like
really,
Metroidvania stuff, so
I really, really liked it. Yeah, it was my, like I said, it's my favorite Metroidvania this year, and there was a lot of good ones this year. So
nice.
Even ones
Okay.
that got re-released on the Castlevania Dominus collection.
yes, that's right. Yeah, which I haven't gotten to yet
Yes.
either. Yeah, I
Yeah.
haven't got to the advanced collection yet, and I really
I
got to
haven't
get to
either.
that.
I mean,
Yeah.
I've played through as far as the new one that came out, for the DS games. Portrait of Ruin and Dawn of Sorrow. I just need to finish Order of Ecclesia, but
Hmm.
it was so good just getting to play these without having to have the stylus and stuff.
Yes, yeah.
I was so happy that they re-released those because I didn't get to play Portrait of Ruin and Order of Ecclesia. I only played Dawn of Sorrow, and that was a great game. So
Hmm.
I'm glad they re-released them so I can
Yeah.
actually play those two games
Yeah,
that I
I
never
mean
got the chance to.
that's one of the things it's such a missed opportunity that like a lot of the older games that we enjoyed that are difficult to even play because either you don't have the system for it,
Yeah,
or they're not available for you to play on a different console because maybe it was just and you missed it and they're expensive because
Yeah.
everybody wants the game. Eh, I like Chrono Trigger. I know it's on DS and on Super Nintendo, and I have both copies, but I'd love to have it ported over to the PS5 just to play through it again and get all the trophies and but that's
I
just
think it's on the
I
PS4, is it not?
I don't
Chrono
think
Trigger?
so.
mm, nope.
Hmm.
Chrono Cross is.
No, Chrono Cross.
Yeah, Chrono Cross is, yeah, not
No,
Chrono
it's on
Trigger.
Steam. I think Chrono Trigger.
Yeah,
They have a
Steam.
weird
Yep.
version of it right
Hmm.
there. Yeah.
Which is
Okay.
the
I
cell phone or iPhone release or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was lucky enough to pick up cheap DS copies of not Order, but the other two. Aria and Dawn, is it?
Dawn
Or no, sorry,
and
Portrait. Yeah, Portrait and Dawn.
Portrait. Yeah.
Um, and I was able to get two quite cheap when I went to Korea one, because they had like when you go to Korea, they usually sell the Japanese versions of games,
Oh,
but this
nice.
Okay.
shop happened to have the USDS copies of both Portrait and Dawn, and
Nice.
they were quite cheap, so I picked it up because like I guess not a lot of people in Korea want to be playing the the US versions. I guess it's more
I
difficult to play the US
suppose.
versions.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Oh,
so I
yeah,
grabbed
yeah.
them immediately because my DS is a USDS anyway, so it's like yeah, so like I grabbed them, and then I haven't had time to play them, and then the Dominus collection came out, so I was like, well, I guess I'm just gonna play them on the PS5.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Um, Dawn is really good because it introduces like some really cool like just animation. The sprite work is amazing in
Mm.
Dawn of Sorrows, but Portia Rune's my favorite. I love that whole story, the connections to bloodlines and other stuff, and it's really good.
Oh,
But
it's Connection of Bloodlines.
It's
yeah,
Okay.
kind of neat that you get to play two different characters in that one too.
hmm
So
yeah, which would have been cool. Like I know we got that. What was it that Despair of whatever it was, the one that was like the multiplayer Castlevania game,
Harmony of Despair.
Army of
Yeah.
Despair, and then but like it's not how I felt that we should have had that play out. Like I think there could have been a better way than this
Yeah.
giant map that you can kind of zoom in on a little bit, but
Oh,
Um,
geez.
yeah, that gave me
I was like,
nightmares.
it's too small. Is there a way to zoom in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but so my number three, I don't have it physically. I ended up getting it digital, of course. I'm going to eventually buy it. I actually want to get the collector's edition because I want the statue that's with it. But Tekken 8. I can't mention my favorite fighting game series without um, bringing that up in here. I really enjoyed some of the changes that they did to the series. Um, the story was fun, out of this world with like, Kazuya and Jin fighting on an asteroid in space, and like there's lava coming up, and it's like, how is this even possible? But it's Tekken, we the whole series is sci-fi fantasy, so but I got to play a good percentage of it this year. I wish it was like it would have showed up as the game I played most, but um, there was other stuff that I like played a lot more. Especially like whenever Paste and a couple other guys created a server for Minecraft, and we just played Minecraft for a while. We were just building these epic structures and a small city, and I would sit there talking to Ryan or whoever in Discord, be like building whatever. I literally built the floating island, kind of similar to the Kingdom of Zeal, just the island portion. I just made a farm and some other buildings on it, and I built the chain connecting to the ground, so it's like it's just this floating island.
That's pretty funny, but
But
cool.
yeah, but no, Tekken, it was really good. I'm disappointed like who they chose for this fourth character for DLC, which is Clive from 16. I think a lot of people were hoping it would have been Tifa or somebody else. I get why it was kind of done because you could probably use some of the assets from Noctis as far as the, action of the character and stuff. But um, no, but just I love Tekken. There's not much more I can say other than that. Like, it's my favorite series as far as fighting games go. Law's my favorite character I play. But and it's always one of those things like I can invite my friends over or even play online, and we'll just have like hours and hours of fun.
That's
But
pretty cool.
yeah.
I'm not a big fighting game guy. Like if it's not Capcom, I tend to not play it.
Hmm.
But the Tekken sort of like story of Tekken, like just as it goes, like it's just I love how ridiculous it gets, and I do watch videos of like the various like endings for various characters, like as the games come out, and they are amazing and hilarious, and I
Hilarious.
love them. Like that is yeah. Like if anything ever gets me to play like. I mean, I played some Tekken in the past, but
Hmm.
not a lot, right? But like, if anything ever gets me to like properly play a Tekken, it's those hilarious endings because they are almost all of them are just wow, they're so good.
They're so over the top. They just hit
Yeah,
that perfect like balance of nostalgia and hilarity and like what is this?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. WTF moments. But
yeah,
I'll definitely have to check out some videos. I'm not a huge fighting game kind of
yeah,
guy either. I never really. I think I played one Tekken game for a little bit, but most of the fighting games was like Super Street Fighter 2 for the SNES was
yeah.
the big one I
mhm.
would play. Played Toshinden on the PS1, Dead or Alive 1 and 2, especially. I'm just not really good at those games. I have to probably do hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of practice to get good at them. But I get the appeal. But again, like you said, if it's Capcom beat 'em up kind of thing, like I don't know, like Final Fight or something, I'll play that.
Mhm.
But I know that's not a fighting game; it's a beat 'em up.
Mhm.
But that's pretty cool. I had heard good things about the Tekken series, and I'm curious about these endings that you're talking about now.
Yeah, they're
So I
really
want to
Yeah.
check them out.
and like it's also nice because like the Tekken does have like sort of one story arc that kind of like goes through all the
Continue.
games.
Oh,
Um
nice. Okay.
yeah, so the endings build on each other and stuff like and not everything is canon because like depending on which character you use, one character will murder a different like because like the Heihachi no, sorry, what's the name of the family? It's Heihachi or
No, it's the
no, Heihachi's
Mishima.
the main guy.
The Mishima.
Mishima, thank you.
Yeah.
Heihachi's the older guy. Yeah, yeah. The Mishima family is like the main sort of like they're infighting. There's a grandfather. Sorry, there's a great grandfather, a grandfather,
A
a father, and then
son.
the son.
Yeah.
And like they
Oh, okay.
all
Okay.
they're constantly fighting against each other. Depending on who you win with, one or the other will kick somebody into a volcano
Or
or
they
shoot
carry
them
them
into
off and drop them
space.
off, and yeah,
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 they'll carry them. Like that's the
Okay.
yeah,
famous one. It's where you bring them to the edge of the volcano and just drop them in. That's like
yeah.
the famous one of the famous like endings. It's become a meme. And it's like they're really it's really quite hilarious. Just the way that they do these things and like how tongue in cheek they are. But yeah, like as far as fighting games, like I've always been a Street Fighter guy. It's Marvel vs. Capcom, really. Like that's where I really got into it because
Well,
I've
that
always
one's
been a
pretty
big
good too. Yeah.
yeah, I've always been a big comic book geek.
Yeah.
So like when like and X-Men's my jam. So when like X-Men Children of the Atom came out, I was like, that's like in the arcade. I spent
That
so
was
much money at the arcade doing X-Men Children of the Atom. Yeah, and so I like when the collection came out, which I just got, like I was so happy because now I have all these games in one sort of collection. I can
Oh,
play them on
right.
PS5.
Yes.
Yeah, and as I mentioned before, I don't play against other people because I'm not that good at fighting games. So I'll play them on easy modes just so I can be like, ooh, I can play.
well, and yeah, and it's still just fun, like just to just play it, because it's like
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
you get that competition, even if it's just a computer. Yeah, I get that.
yeah.
So, and we got the next collection coming out next month,
Yes, yeah,
which has Power Stone and the SNK versus
yeah.
Capcom games, and which is gonna be yes,
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
cool. I didn't
Because
know
Mhm.
yeah, I
about
picked
that.
up the Street Fighter collection. I've picked up this MVC one, and I'm definitely gonna pick up the next one because like they're like I don't know why. Like I have played other fighting games, but Capcom's always the one that I come back to, even though like I suck at all of them. Like let's be
Mhm.
honest here. Like I'm not very good at any fighting game, but for whatever reason, the Capcom ones always get me to come back and try my hand at them. And even if I have to drop the difficulty down to easy, and like give myself multiple like what is on MVC, the MVC collection, you can actually like give your hits more power
Power,
and give your
yeah,
enemy hits less power, and then even drop it down to easy. And even then, I have trouble. So it's like this is how bad I am in fighting games. But they're fun, right? Like I get to play as Juggernaut, I get to play as Wolverine, I get to play as Storm. Like it's really really fun.
That's
Um,
cool.
yeah,
yeah. I mean, they're good. I mean, the whenever Arcade One Up they said that they were gonna do the X-Men versus Street Fighter, that was the one I had to
mm,
have. I was like, I
mm,
love that game, but I mean, for me, fighting games have always been like just part of my makeup. Like my friends, we did. We usually would be playing fighting games. There was times like my friends would come over and stay the night. We'd be playing Tekken or we
nice.
playing Street Fighter 3 or whatever. So it's we've always done something with fighting games. So it's
That's
in my
so
makeup,
cool.
unfortunately. It just we had those guys that were into that stuff.
Yeah,
Nothing wrong with that.
Hmm.
yeah, very cool.
All right, Jason, what's your number? Number we're
Number
down to twos.
Two,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, geez. Yeah. So I don't have a physical copy of this one. I do want to get a physical copy of this one, and it's my surprise game of the year. Um, Silent Hill 2 remake. Phenomenal, phenomenal game. It's nice to see that they finally did something good with Silent Hill again. It's one of my favorite survival horror. There you go. There you go.
There.
Thank you. Thank you.
we'll just
um,
hold it here while you talk
Yeah, yeah.
about it.
it
Yeah.
is my favorite survival horror series of all time. It's the Silent Hill series. I love the idea that it's more psychological, even though there is monsters and shooting. That's kind of like the whole Resident Evil style stuff. But it's a lot of it is in here too, and the blooper team actually knocked it out of the park. I mean, there's some glitches here and there, fine, but I think their latest update kind of helped things out. I haven't seen any glitches on my end except for one time, just one time, and that was the first month that was out. There were crashed on me once, but beyond that, it's the expanded the story. They kept it true to the source material, but expanded the areas, the characters, and adding little nuances to their performances. And the music is still done by Akira Yamaoka from the older Silent Hill games, and they had the Masahiro Ito, the creature designer, back too. It was just as a surprise. I was so worried about this one, mostly because I wanted to be still coming out with new Silent Hill games because last one we had was almost 10 years ago. That was Downpour.
Downpour,
And
yeah.
unfortunately, I do like Downpour, but there was a lot of problems with it, a lot of glitches. Oh my God. So, this game, they knocked it out of the park with minor problems, but you know, it's the surprise game of the year for me. If it wasn't for the next one, that would be number one. Um, it's just a phenomenal game, just a phenomenal. The guy who played James in this one, he knocked out of the park. His acting is so nuanced and I've been using the word phenomenal a lot
He's
today,
phenomenal.
but
Yeah.
he's just he done it so well, and I think almost every other person that in there did a great job as well. It was just something about his performance that he carries the weight, and which is good because you're mostly playing him, obviously. Um, it's just it's a long game. I'll give you that. I can beat it in under 5 hours now, but originally it was almost 16 hours, so it's a pretty long Silent Hill game. It'll get your money's worth. I highly recommend playing this if you get a chance. So good, so good.
I've only played the first 2 hours of this. Um,
Yes.
but this is also my first Silent Hill game. Not this one,
Okay.
the original one.
The original.
The original Silent Hill 2. I've had on PS2 forever because my then girlfriend bought it for me. But back then I was chicken shit. Sorry, I don't know if I can curse here. Sorry. So,
You're fine.
but I
You're fine.
was
You're fine. It's fine. It's fine.
okay.
Yeah.
I
You're
was
fine.
quite a scaredy cat back then, so I didn't like really to play horror games very much. I played Resident Evil 2 when I was a much younger kid, and I think that may have scarred me. So I stopped playing horror games. But like in more recent times, I really enjoying playing horror games. And so I played the first 2 hours of the original Silent Hill 2 on stream, and then I played 2 hours of this. And I think Jason was telling me that actually I should probably play the original. I should finish the original first, and sort of get through that one, and then play this one so you can see like the changes and the differences and like how they've made it better. Because Silent Hill, the original Silent Hill 2 is already supposed to be an amazing game.
You won. Yeah.
Yes. It set the
And
standard.
yeah, and so like and I've never like I now I've been kind of going as I get to travel and visit video game shops around the world. I've been trying to grab more Silent Hill games if I find them for cheap. So I think I have Silent Hill uh the Room as well. I think I was
Or
able to
four.
find that in
That'll be
Japan.
part four.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know they've got like Origin games as well or something like that. So
Mhm.
like I know there's a couple of them, and I don't have very many of them, but I've been trying to get more because I know it's supposed to be this seminal survival horror series, psychological horror series,
Mhm.
that I do want to like eventually play through all of them. And yeah, so I think Silent Hill, like what I played of this has been like it's been quite good. It's very atmospheric, and like I wasn't like I've always been sort of a Bloober fan. So when like Bloober was announced that they were going to make the remake, and everyone was like, "Oh no, it's going to be terrible," I didn't quite understand that because every Bloober game I played, I've enjoyed. Can have some problems here and there, I do admit,
Hmm.
but like I enjoyed Blair Witch, I enjoyed The Medium, I enjoyed Layers of Fear. And you know, those were all Bloober, and so I wasn't
Yeah.
quite sure like where this sort of hate was coming from. So yeah, I don't know, but yeah,
To
I
be
like. Sorry,
Go
say
ahead.
again.
I was going to say, to be honest, I don't know. I don't know the hatred on Bluebird Team myself. I haven't played that many, but I played the medium, and I personally enjoyed it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I can see where they were getting their inspiration from, which is the Silent Hill series and a few other obvious horror games. That was just, yeah. So I didn't get it either, but yeah, they always say it's like a walking sim more so with those games, I guess, like with the Blair Witch and
Layers of Fear definitely is like Layers of Fear
yeah.
is like you walk through and things happen and jump scares and stuff. But like I think it's effective. I've
You're
I've
right.
never I've never shied away from a walking simulator. The less I have to
Mhm.
do, the better. But like
Right,
I
because
think
you're there for the narrative. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
Exactly.
correct.
yeah.
I'm here for an experience. I'm here for a story, right? So if I don't have to worry about like shooting things or whatever, then I'm still gonna enjoy the experience, right? Like there's less hand-eye coordination I have to worry about.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I mean I enjoyed Layers of Fear. I enjoyed the Medium. The Medium had a few. The problems I had with the Medium were more narrative and less mechanics. Um, and then Blair Witch I thought was quite well done. I really enjoyed Blair Witch, and it was quite
I haven't
effective
played
and
it yet.
creepy. Yeah, I played through it 3 times because I wanted a platinum in it, so I had to play through it 3 times for like
Oh
different
Nice.
wow.
Okay.
endings and
Okay.
stuff. Yeah. If you're smarter, you only have to do two
Two playthroughs.
two playthroughs, but the first playthrough I did it blind, and so I was like, oh no, there's very specific things I have to do or not do in order to get certain things, certain trophies. So I had to play through it two more times, but the second and third time were much faster.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Also, to be fair, the Silent Hill 2 remake, the platinum is a little easier than the Silent Hill 2 HD collection version.
Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember going for that.
Mm.
Or I
Oh,
didn't
I
do
Because
it.
you got
have
to
that
get a
HD
sensor rank.
collection. I
Yeah.
just
Yeah, you have
remembered
to.
I do have that because I have like it's on Hill 3 as well, right?
That's
Hmm.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have that. Yeah. Hey, there you go.
Um, you got to get the 10-star rank in Silent Hill 2 in order to get the this weird hyper spray gun thing,
Mm.
so that you can get the platinum for it. And it's the only trophy I'm missing from that game. 10-star
Ah.
rank is ridiculous, very ridiculous to get. But yeah,
I've been a fan of the series for since the beginning, but like two was always my favorite, and then whenever four came out, The Room, I enjoyed that one much more. I love the whole the Silent Hill creeping into outside of its boundaries into other towns. This
Mhm.
guy trapped in his apartment, like just crawling through this hole, going into different places around town, being haunted by people he didn't save, and then let the tie-in to the first game. I mean, the second game, like the guy
That's right.
when you're in the insane asylum and stuff, and or the hospital, and then you get all the news reports about like this guy and what he did and the murders he was doing. Yeah, no, it was, but
Spoiler alert. No.
yeah, yeah, but you know, I played 2 hours of it. I enjoyed what I played, but I had so many glitches, and I don't know what it was,
Really?
but
Hmm.
apparently it
Yeah.
was it was something that's known for the game. I think that there's been two patches that have fixed it. I haven't had time to go back to it because for one, the if you noticed, Jason, when I was playing it, it did look a little like the graphics weren't loading in right away. It looked kind of like it was almost like a PS3 game. And then
Oh.
like the character models of the characters looked fine, but then it would just crash my system. So, but
Yeah.
apparently I was hearing that there's people that had this issue, and and it's just random. It's so weird that like maybe the way the game was pressed, like so the data wasn't right because that was at
Interesting.
least what was over. Yeah, go
I
ahead.
did not have any problems. I don't remember having any problems when I played the first 2 hours. I
Well,
think mine was
yeah. So
quite
that's the
smooth.
odd thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
and
the
It
mine
was
odd
saying
mine
thing.
is
that
the
they,
physical one. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I have mine's the digital, so I don't
Hmm.
know if that
Hmm.
makes any difference. But it crashed literally once on me, and I'm like, I was a little annoyed, but beyond that, I'd never seen anything else. But
Right.
um,
And it was just
so far,
weird
my
because,
stream has been fine. So I don't know.
yeah, because it literally just shut off my PS5. I was like,
Oh,
what's
that's a
going
scary.
on?
That's the scary
That's
crash. Yeah,
yeah, it's like,
yeah,
why did
I'm
it
just
just turn
hoping
off?
that you get a better experience whenever you
Yeah.
eventually get back to it.
Maybe
yeah.
it was like trying to be haunted and stuff and it was messing with you. Like, you know. But yeah, no, it looked great. I mean, my one of my best friends from like childhood was like he loved it. He played through it twice already, and he's like, "You need to play it. You need to get it." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to. I'm gonna play it." And he goes, "You should play it live stream and stuff." And I was like, "I don't know. I want to just experience this without any of the distractions." And
Hmm.
then Jason coaxed me into at least streaming it for a little bit. So I was like, "All right, let's do this." I had fun. It was fun. At least what I got to play. So I'm hoping to really kind of give it some time, next month to
Yeah,
focus on it.
it definitely the other game that I did like I platinum it and played 8+ playthroughs because of multiple endings, and even
Hmm.
though you can do saves to get you close to those endings in one playthrough or two, but
Yeah.
I enjoyed the game so much, and then I was doing it for my friend again too. So it was one of those games that I just really enjoyed. But
They still have the dog ending in this, right?
Yeah.
The from
yes,
yeah, good,
the
good.
UFN ending is probably my favorite ending of this
Yeah.
version.
Nice.
Um,
Okay.
it is my second favorite genre of video games is survival horror. First, number one is definitely RPG, hands
Mm-hmm.
down. But survival horror, ever since Silent Hill series, especially two, is what really got me into the survival horror games. So I went back to replaying Silent Hill 1 and really appreciating it. And I play that every year now. Silent Hill 3 is still my personal favorite because I find the story is the darkest of the bunch. And the hospital alone in
Yeah.
Silent Hill 3 is probably the scariest area of the entire series. Um, although a couple of the bosses in the um, not Team Silent, which is the first four games. I think Homecoming had some of the best bosses. But anyways, that's a whole different discussion. But yeah,
Yeah, we can definitely do a Silent Hill. I got to play through them again, all of them, but at least
same.
the first four are the best because, and that's what I was going to bring this up. I just now remembered. Um, I didn't know the studio that was going to do it. I didn't have a problem with that. I think my issue was is like the last like Downpour and Homecoming were both made by American teams and stuff, and they weren't as good as like what we were getting with Team Silent. And so it's like
Hmm.
that's where it's like kind of the fear of like, okay, Konami and the original team aren't working on this, and like some people are, but not fully. So it's not
Hmm.
doesn't have that same like it's iffy if this is going to be good. I wasn't
Right.
in
Oh,
that camp, but I was like, I'm hoping this is going to be good.
that's what I was saying. Now, like
Yeah.
I'm hoping so much because I know the fan base can be
Hmm.
harsh on Silent Hill, especially
Yeah.
the non-team Silent games. But from what I understood, Bloober Team really listened to the fans in this as much as possible, and they were butting heads with Konami, but we got this product, so I'm glad. And it sold a lot. Like it's knocking out of the park with a lot of critics and how much it sold, and so I think Silent Hill is here to stay a little longer. Thank God.
We got that other game coming, or that like takes place in Japan.
Oh
I'm curious
yes.
about that.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
looks really
Was it
good. At least,
Townfall, I think? Townfall, yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks
Yeah.
good.
It does look quite interesting. I'm looking forward to that as well. Yeah. All right. My number two
Hmm.
is also a survival horror game. Well, sort of. It's a little bit of a cheat. We got a lot of good horror games, and like I mentioned before, I used to not be down with horror games because I was a big chicken, but I've since been playing a lot more. I just mentioned some of the Bloober games that I played. This year I also beat Alien Isolation, which can be
Hmm.
quite scary, intense.
Oh my God.
It's not quite a horror game, but Felicia and I also last night we finished Banishers
Oh,
Ghost
cool.
of Eden.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, it can be a bit scary occasionally. There can like a couple of jump scares here and there, but it's more of a narrative game than anything else, and it's quite good as well. I also enjoyed what I played of it so far. I've enjoyed the new Alone in the Dark.
I need to pick
I
that
think,
up.
I enjoyed that. That's not bad.
yeah, I think there's like a lot of people didn't like it so much, and I've not played like previous Alone in the Dark games, so I have nothing to like compare it to. But what I played so far, I enjoy. I like that this one has a lot of like detective stuff. Like you have to go and like figure things out, like which I enjoy. I'm a sucker for a detective game where you actually have to go and like look for clues and stuff. And this has a little bit of that, and of course it's also got scary shit.
Yeah,
But
David
my
Harbour.
number two, my sort of cheat number two, is the DLC from Alan Wake 2. Alan Wake 2 actually came out last year, and it was my game of the year last year. It was my number one game of the year last year. I love it so much. But the DLC, the two pieces of DLC came out this year. That they were Night Springs, and then more recently the Lake House. And I really like the Remedy verse right now is I think my favorite piece of like connected uh uh universe type stuff like this. Like even more than the MCU, I'm enjoying the Remedy verse. And it contains not just Alan Wake and Control, which are the main parts, but some of the other things, like we were talking about this earlier,
Yeah.
it like Remedy doesn't own, even though they created the first Max Payne, they created Max Payne and they made the first two Max Payne games. It now belongs to Rockstar. They sold it off to Rockstar. Quantum Break is co-owned with Microsoft, so they can't fully use it, as much as they want to. So instead of using Max Payne and Quantum Break, they use very cleverly disguised but legally distinct versions of those games and characters, and they put that all together. So it's all still here, and like Night Springs and the Lake House really kind of help to tie all that stuff together a little bit better, which I really enjoy. Um, Night Springs was three sort of separate stories. So like the main game of Alan Wake 2 is Alan Wake is trapped in the dark place and he's trying to write himself out of it, right? So he's writing a story trying to get himself out. And I won't spoil anything. But that's the main gist of the game. And then outside we've got Saga Anderson like being a cop and trying to figure stuff what weirdness is going on in Cauldron Lake and stuff, right? But the three Night Spring stories are like three like rough drafts of stuff that Alan Wake wrote while in the dark place. So he's got one where he has it's called The Waitress. The name of the character is The Waitress, but she's based off of Rose, who is a waitress in the main game. And she is trying to help her favorite author Alan Wake, escape from the dark place. So you play as her, and you go, and it's the same uses the same map, a part of the same map of Alan Wake 2. So you go through and you're shooting stuff and you try to but like it's a very tongue-in-cheek story, and it's sort of like a romance almost. Like she's living like a romance story, like a
Okay.
romance novel, but as she's shooting like, Taken, that's what they call the zombies in this game. They call them
Yeah.
Taken. Um, and so she's shooting a bunch of Taken, trying to save Alan Wake, the love of her life, who thinks she thinks that he will reciprocate her love as soon as she saves him, right? Because it's her favorite author. So and then the second game features the main character from the original Control, Jesse Faden. But I believe she's just called the sister or something like that. I can't remember exactly. She's called, again, none of these characters are named what they're actually named. Because they're different versions of those characters, right? So in the second one, she's trying to save her brother, which is what she was trying to do in the original game. And she goes to the Coffee World map area. Again, solving puzzles, shooting Taken, and just a way for Alan Wake to try and like get himself out of the dark place. The third one is probably my favorite. The third one features Sheriff Tim Breaker, who is played by Sean Ashmore in this game. Sean Ashmore also played the main character in Quantum Break. This is important because the sheriff character, he gets in the main game, he gets taken to the dark place very early on,
Hmm.
and you encounter him only as Alan in the dark place. But when he's in the dark place, he's trying to figure a bunch of stuff out because he keeps getting like these weird flashes of alternate dimensions and characters that he has never met before, but his alternate versions have. And in the game, the Night Springs episode here, it follows Sean Ashmore, the actor, who is playing who is I think he's in the middle of playing Tim Breaker for Remedy, right? So it's like this meta thing. But as he goes back to his dressing room, there's a dead Sean Ashmore in a different Sean Ashmore in his dressing room. He's like, what the
Okay.
hell? And then he starts traveling through different dimensions. Sean Ashmore, here called the actor, but it is supposed to be Sean Ashmore playing himself. He starts traveling through different dimensions, and like we get a lot more connective tissue between the regular Alan Wake Control universe and the Quantum Break universe that we can't actually call Quantum Break because of legal reasons. But like it's really good. Like I love all like that they're really trying hard to like bring everything together under one roof, even though again there's like legal stuff and that you can't quite do. The second DLC is the Lake House. It's more of a straightforward uh, a straightforward story that takes place within the story of Alan Wake 2. It follows a Federal Bureau of Control agent named Kieran Estevez, I think is her name, and she appears in the main game in the later half. So this follows what she was doing before she shows up in the main game, and it's creepy. I think it's scarier than the main Alan Wake 2. Like Alan Wake, the original Alan Wake was sort of a horror game, but
Yeah,
it
it
wasn't
wasn't.
like it wasn't super scary. Alan Wake 2 goes full on survival horror, and I love that. Like it goes properly horror. It goes really good, and the lake house makes it even scarier. I think the lake house is the scariest bit of Alan
Man,
Wake
I
2.
gotta
Like I
get
think
this.
it's quite proper. It's quite properly good. This is one of the few games that I purchased digitally and then I purchased physically because I could not wait for the physical. I wanted to play it immediately. So I got the digital version, and then when this eventually came out, I picked this up as well. And this does contain both of the DLC. I don't know if you can see that there, but it does contain both of the DLC, as well as like all the extra cosmetic nonsense that you can get as well. So yeah, I highly, highly recommend this. Again, Alan Wake 2 was my game of the year last year, and the DLC was so good that it made my number two on this list, even though they're not like full realized games on their own. But I think they're very good. And I highly, highly recommend not just the DLC, obviously, but also Alan Wake 2 and Control and original Alan Wake. And when it comes out, Control 2 will probably be my game of the year that year because all these games have been my games of the year when they come out.
It's
Well, you
So
can
there
fifty.
you
tell
go.
you work in retail because you
It's
really
fifty nine
sold it.
ninety nine.
it's 59.99.
It's
It's
fifty nine
cheaper
ninety
than
nine,
when I
and you
got
get
it.
a physical.
I
You know
definitely want
what?
to get that.
I paid 70 Sing for it, Singaporean dollars, which I think is around 60 USD.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's about the same price. Yeah,
Then
yeah,
it'd be about $80 here.
yeah.
Well, I'll probably pick that up after this episode. Just so I can have
There
the
you go.
DLC because I'm paying like $50 for the DLC and then having it physical, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
So
I'm a big fan of Alan Wake. I love to, and I just haven't had time to do any of the DLC stuff.
Oh, it's so good. It's really good. Like I really like I said, the Night Springs episodes are a bit tongue in cheek. They're more funny than they are. Oh, I forgot to mention, like because in the Tim Breaker one, the actor one, Sean Ashmore, he's traveling through so many dimensions. One of the dimensions is like an 8-bit beat 'em up game. And so you play through an 8-bit beat 'em up. It's not like very good, but it's so hilarious when it just pops in and he's like suddenly in an 8-bit arcade game, arcade beat 'em up. It's hilarious. It's really really good. I can't I just I they bring me so much joy even as I'm screaming in terror. I get so much joy from these games.
I like it whenever a game or some product like that gets into um, throwing little tongue-in-cheek stuff like that just to keep
Yeah.
you going and thinking, okay, bring down the level a little bit, have some fun. Then I'm gonna throw back the horror. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I like how they did that. It sounds really cool, and I definitely want to get Alan Wake 2 and all the DLC, so it's perfect
Yeah.
combo
Yeah.
there. I
That's
love the
I
first one.
I
yeah.
think they were waiting. I think they were waiting to do the physical release until the DLC came out, so they could do like just one press and have
That can
One
make
everything
press
on
of
sense,
it,
it.
yeah.
which
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah, which makes sense.
Because I heard
And this also comes with a free digital copy of Alan Wake One, Alan Wake Remastered. So if you don't have
Oh,
Alan Wake
nice,
Remastered, this
nice.
comes with it. It is
but
a
you
digital
get the
copy
whole
though; it's
package,
not.
yeah.
But it's the whole package right here. The only thing you're missing is Control, which if you don't have, you should also get because that's also amazing. And that was my game of the year that came out. So yeah,
I mean, I
get them
got those
all.
already, but still, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Man, that's awesome. Because like well, and it's funny, I was gonna say, so does he have like an Iceman moment? Because he was Iceman in the X-Men movies and stuff. Like I said,
I'm trying. I don't think so. I don't think they go that far. But
that
like
would have
he,
been
like I think
hilarious.
he
Yeah,
does. He may make a passing reference because like he is like in the beginning of the game, at the beginning of the episode, he is the actor, right? And he's playing this role for Remedy. Sam Lake makes an appearance as himself as well. Um, which is again more meta narratives because Sam Lake also appears as Alex Casey and both Alex Casey, the actual character, the actual person who was Saga Anderson's partner, but also Alex Casey, the character that Alan Wake writes. And Alex Casey is a stand-in for Max Payne because again they can't use the Max Payne name, but he's basically Max Payne
Which is
in
also they use
the
his face for
fictitious
the
version.
mocap too for
Yes,
Max
yeah,
Payne.
correct,
Yeah,
correct.
yeah.
As it keeps making the face.
nice.
There's a portion of Alan Wake 2 where like they have because they have a lot of like live action segments as well,
Segments,
right?
yeah.
And one where Sam Lake is like being interviewed by a late night talk show host, and the late night talk show says, make the face." So he makes the face. He makes the Max Payne face, which is very funny because he's also because Sam Lake, the actor in the universe, is playing Alex Casey, the Alan Wake character for the film. Yeah, so there's a lot of really. I mean, that's regular Alan Wake 2, which I'm not. I can't tell you. I cannot. I love it so much.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Well, like I said, I saw Vince playing it on stream here and there, and I'm trying not to pay that much
Yeah.
attention to the actual game. And I keep looking and I'm like, oh, this looks so good. I want to play it so bad.
Oh, the
Uh,
musical segment. Oh, I can't.
yeah.
There's
Yes,
so
yeah,
much in this game
oh,
that's so
yes.
good.
Hmm.
Oh, it's I yeah, I haven't played through the final, I can't remember what it's called, final chapter version or something like that. It's basically like the hard, like it's slightly harder mode,
Hmm.
but or sorry, not harder mode, new game plus mode because there's extra pieces of pages and like the ending changes slightly as well.
Okay.
So I have to play through I have to play through it again. And I'll probably will before Control 2 comes out. Like I'll do it again just to get like the proper quote unquote proper ending. It's like near Automata that way where you have to play through it again in order to get like
Yeah.
the
oh
full
yes,
story
okay.
as it were. Yeah. But it's mostly I mean it's mostly the same gameplay, mostly the same story, but a couple of pieces here and there. You'll get like extra pages and a couple of scenes change because some of the characters realize that we're doing this a second time. But so it's yeah, so it's a bit interesting.
That's cool. I haven't played through it twice yet. So okay,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah,
I may do just to do that. That's cool.
yeah, yeah. So it's yeah. I'm really yeah. It's I can't again I cannot tell you how much I love this universe and these games. They're very.
Wow.
I think Remedy's been really knocking out of the park, and I'm excited that they're remaking the first two Max Paynes as well.
Oh,
Um,
nice. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So
That's
like
cool.
they have a deal with Rockstar and they're remaking the first two Max Paynes and I'm looking forward to that because I have both of the original Max Paynes but they're a bit janky to play nowadays, right? Like it's just
Yeah.
because modern gaming is very different from even like PS1 and PS2 era games and it's just yeah, sometimes it's a bit difficult to kind of go back to that kind of control style and stuff. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Okay. So my number two, this game, of course, is Sandland. This
Oh,
game
nice.
Nice.
this game
Nice.
is so good. I mean, how many times you guys saw it when you jumped in and it just heard me gushing about how good this game is?
Yeah.
Action RPG, with like uh come on, like the tank segments that like remind you of like Metal Slug or something else. But I love the tank combat. It's so good. The characters are so well written. I mean, and like to have something that came out that like Akira Toriyama wrote a manga for, but didn't finish it, or at least he went to a certain point, stopped it because it was too hard for him to draw the tanks. So and he is known for drawing like amazing like vehicles and stuff outside of his characters and Dragon Ball and everything. But like Beelzebub's is such a cool character, thief and like um come on, what's his name? Rao, the sheriff of the town and stuff, who's an ex soldier for the king. Like these characters are so good, and like you can just see the influences of like Dragon Ball characters or other stuff because it's his art style. But it was just so fun. I mean, it was really good to like just have a game that kind of was beyond your expectations for what you were playing. Um,
Hmm.
the I need to finish it. I haven't finished it yet, but it's definitely left an impact. And it was like, it's on my list for a reason. And it was cool just like getting to hang out with all you guys who came in and and watch me stream it because it was good. It was fun. And then just like kiting your enemies around as you're shooting them with the tank and stuff so they can't hit you with damage. Yeah, it's this was definitely well worth it. Um,
I was when I was watching some of your streams, I was like, this looks pretty good, and you had basically sold me on it. And now that it's your number two, I definitely got to pick it up now.
yeah,
Yeah.
Same, same. That's
yeah,
another reason
it's
why I tried not to watch. Like again, listening, but trying
yeah,
not to
yeah,
watch too
Yeah,
much of
yeah,
it. I'm
yeah.
like, oh, this looks so good, and it's actually not a bad price. I think it's like 64 or something like that.
and it was like
Where it's a
20
little
over
cheaper.
Black Friday. Yeah, it was really
Oh.
Yeah,
cheap.
yeah.
Um,
So that'll be another one I'll be picking up
Well,
for
I'm
sure
I'm
very
going to a
soon.
game shop later today, so I have a lot of things to pick up now.
all right, so any honorable mentions that you guys can think of? I mean, the only one I can think of at the moment would be Dead Rising remake, the deluxe remaster, which was really good. They did a really good job kind of rebuilding that engine, but keeping it feeling like you played the original. They fixed some of the problems that were in the original game, like with the glitch with the prison guys and the Humvee. Um, but it was just really good. I mean, I know they got new actors to come back to do the voices and stuff, which is okay. I know that they kind of changed some of the cosmetic things for I guess whatever reason, but it still felt like I was playing Dead Rising, and that was so good. And then the only other one I would have mentioned would be Echoes of Wisdom was amazing. I'm still working way through it, but I love the whole thing of being able to play Zelda and like all of her abilities of copying things to just like completely break the game, which is what you could do with Tears of the Kingdom. Yeah, it's good. But those would be the two that I would mention as my honorable mentions.
I haven't
I
tried Echoes, so
Yeah, not yet either. I think it'll be the final game I play through my Zelda playthrough. I wanted to get, do it fresh and sort of
Hmm.
play it like in order, quote unquote, in order. So yeah, so I'll get to it eventually, sometime next year, I assume. But I've mentioned some of my honorable mentions already, the Metroidvanias, the horror games that I played. But I also want to give some quick shout outs to. Oh, I do have to say, um, I mentioned it already, but Banisher, this is Felicia's game of the year. She really, really loved it. So I had to say that so that so she knows that I listen to her. But besides the other ones that I've already mentioned, I also want to mention the Plucky Squire, which
That
came
looks
out this
good.
year. It's a really fun 2D/3D platformer, and it's got a lot of puzzles. And it's a really interesting, like it's a very fun story and a very interesting story about the power of children's literature, which is close to my heart because I am a
Nice.
children's author myself. So I really, really like this whole motif of like the book, of these being characters in a book who very quickly realize they are in a book, and how they're supposed to like fight against the bad guy who's trying to change the ending of the book so that he wins instead
ooh,
of the hero wins. So like it's very it's very fun. It's very good. And that's a big honorable mention. And then the other three that I want to quickly mention are Star Wars Outlaws, which has some issues here and there,
Yeah.
but I by and large I enjoyed it, and I think they fixed some of those issues already. Like they made it so you don't have to
Which I
like,
haven't come back to it yet to see if
yeah,
how it is.
yeah. So you don't
I will
have to
get to
like
it eventually.
the forced stealth stuff is gone. So if you get seen, you can fight your way out of it, right? You don't have to. You don't like it doesn't like automatic. It's not an automatic fail state like it was before, which can get annoying. Because the stealth just frankly isn't that good, to be
It's
honest. Like
yeah, it's
it's
bad.
not very good. But I think they have fixed the stealth stuff, so like the guy across the map isn't going to see you anymore. But also, like I said, they remove the automatic fail state. So if you do get seen, you can still fight your way out and try to like re-enter stealth, which is
Okay.
nice because like, I think that's you don't want to get stuck that way. And like the DLC, the first DLC just came out, of you going to like this spaceship casino and like doing a little like trying to gamble, but also doing a little bit of heists here and there. Like it's pretty. I like it.
Ocean's 11.
It's a
Oh,
nice
neat,
addition.
neat. Okay.
Yeah, it's a nice addition to it. Like I said, it's got some problems. Some of them have been fixed, some of them haven't. But overall, I think it's a fun game, and I like that there's a Star Trek. Whoops. I like that there's a Star Wars game that doesn't make you be a Jedi
The
as the main
Jedi.
character. Like as much as I've enjoyed the Jedi games that have recently come out, both of them have been very, very good, and
Hmm.
I'm looking forward to the third one. But like I like this. It's a different pace. And like I don't think there's any Jedi in this game. I'm trying to think now. I don't think there's any Jedi,
I
which
haven't
is
finished it yet because because
yeah,
that broken like this broken stealth
yeah.
that took me out of the game. I was like, man,
Yeah, I'm sure it did.
uh,
Like I there was a couple of points where I was just like, but I just persevered because I really wanted to like,
Well, I'm glad
complete the
they
whole
kind
thing.
of fixed at least that part.
Yeah, yeah, they
mhm.
definitely fixed the fact they fixed that. So like, I think it's become a better game because of it. And it can still be a bit janky here and there, but like as far as when I was playing it, there was like nothing really broke. There weren't any broken missions, like for me. And I know other people had some of these problems where like some of the missions broke and you couldn't finish them. And that's of course extra bad when it's a main story mission. If it's a side mission, all right, never mind. I'll come back to it once the patch is in. But when it's a main story mission and it soft locks you out of progressing further, that's a problem. But I think that's been fixed. That's all been fixed and stuff. And like, so I think, and I know there was like some issues at the pre-ordering side where like, oh, you may or may not get the job lot
Lost your
mission.
save. Yeah, if
Yeah,
you lose
that
your save data and stuff like that.
yeah, there's a lot of weirdness and like and that sort of marred the release. But like if you buy it now, I think it's like Cyberpunk. Oh, well, not like Cyberpunk because Cyberpunk is like a completely different game now.
Oh
Star
yeah.
Wars Outlaws is better now than it was at release. And a lot of this
Okay.
weird stuff, this pre-release weird stuff is gone obviously because it's out, right? So yeah, I think it's a pretty fun game and I enjoyed it a lot. The other two I want to quickly shout out are Rise of the Ronin
I still need to play
by
that
Koei
too.
I
Tecmo.
heard good
Yeah,
things.
I've only played about 3 or 4 hours of this, but it's not as hard as it's not as thankfully it's not as hard as other Koei Tecmo games. So I don't like immediately quit out of frustration. So I've been I enjoyed my time with this so far, but I haven't finished it, so it can't go on my list. And the last one is Princess Peach Showtime, which I
I heard good
really
things
really
about that
enjoyed.
too.
I really enjoyed what I played of it. If I had finished it, it may have gone on my top five, because it's really really fun what I played so far. I just gotta get back to it and finish it basically. Every level that I played is so different, like because she wears different outfits for each level, and like they're it's a different mechanic, it's a different play style, and that's really fun. And I love it when games do that when they give you like basically a different game in each level because you're using different power ups, you're using different mechanics. It's very fun, and I recommend this
Nice.
highly as well.
Nice. Yeah, I want to try uh, the peach one. I heard good things.
Yeah. It's
I heard
it's definitely better than the DS Princess Peach game, which was all right, but it has
Yeah,
some problems.
yeah, and I heard some of the problems that Outlaws did have, but I'm glad
that's good to
Yeah.
some of
hear.
the fixes. Yeah,
It's really good to
Yeah.
I'll
hear.
I'll definitely get back into that.
Because I got to the
But
point where I was like, I was gonna go and I was just gonna put the game on easy just so I could get the story, so I could get experience it at least, and then judge it by that. because
Yeah.
like the gameplay was pretty bad. There was moments where I'd be playing and I got to that point where and you're just standing there and the enemies don't see you. They're running around and they're not even shooting at you. And then I had like moments where like they would run me over and when the vehicles were flying by and it's like I'm not even near you.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think
Oh, that's good to
I
hear,
mean,
though.
yeah, I think they fixed a lot of that stuff. And the story is quite good. Like I hope you get back to it soon, Vince. Because
Yeah.
like I think it's a pretty good story. I like Kay's character. I like ND5 as a character. He's really good. Or it's really good. I guess they don't have genders. Um, and like yeah, and like the other like ancillary characters that you pick up along the way, like they're pretty fun as well. So yeah, I hope you go back and finish it because I think the story is quite good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because I had problems with like some of the unbelievable things that were going on, like how does she know how to fly the ship, and like she didn't seem like she was adept to do that. Because they talk about that in Star Wars. You can't just navigate a hyperspace because you're going to find yourself in a black hole or crashing into a
Right.
moon or whatever. And
I think I mean I thought they're like she got lucky is what they said, and then she does crash land.
yeah, yeah, she does
Yeah,
crash land. That is true.
yeah.
That is true. Um, but yeah, yeah. But other than that, I mean, I wanted to give it a chance. I wanted to at least see through it because I had high hopes for it. Because anytime there's a Star Wars game, I'm looking forward to because I'm a Star Wars fan.
Mm,
But other than like the direction of things that are going with Disney and how they're taking Star Wars in a different direction, kind of ruining certain characters that are icons that you don't need to ruin to uplift other characters. You can do other things. But outside of that, I really wanted to play the game, and my wife is enjoying the Peach game. So I didn't mean to
yeah.
cut you off, Jason. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, no, no. It's just clearing my throat, anyways. That's fine.
Yeah.
I haven't played the game yet, so I don't have any real opinion on it yet.
Mm,
So the last Star Wars game would be the last Jedi one with
mm.
Cal
Cal.
Kestis. Yeah,
Yeah, and those are
those are
really good
great.
games.
Yeah, they're really good. I was I'll tell you what, like for Outlaws, I was a bit surprised of the marketing calling it like the first open world Star Wars because I felt like the Jedi games were fairly open world. Like I mean
They're
they're
kind of, yeah,
slightly
Yeah.
Metroidvania-y, but
hmm
like they're you can go back to any planet you want at any time basically. So I was a bit surprised because Outlaws obviously
maybe a
can do it as well.
non-Jedi open world,
Yeah.
but
So I was a bit interested. It was interesting to me that they called it the first open world when I was like, well, the Jedi games are quite open world, so I'm not sure. Yeah. Anyway.
yeah, fair
Yeah.
enough.
I mean, it does have a feel of like maybe an MMO. Like it was like they may have wanted to make it bigger. So I get that, but you're completely right. The Jedi games were
Yeah.
really good and they were open world. I mean, they had moments of linearity, but depending on what you
Yeah.
were doing. But yeah,
I think that that was more like sort of because they were a bit Metroidvania, you're right. So there like certain areas were locked off until you got whatever power you needed to
hmm
enter that area. And I guess like in that sense, Outlaws is more open world because you can go to any planet almost immediately. Like after you do like the tutorial like intro stuff, you can
hmm
basically go to any
Okay,
planet at any time. So and do whatever mission you want to do. And I think maybe that's kind of maybe what they meant. Like it properly is open for from the very beginning, as opposed to like the Jedi games,
I
which
guess that
are
makes more sense for
yeah.
sure.
And I know the Jedi games, you can't like immediately go to whatever planet you want. You have to like do the story progression, and then eventually you come back to these planets to like do the extra stuff that you didn't do because you
That's
didn't have
true.
whatever
Yeah,
power. So maybe that's what they meant. And okay, I guess I can see it that way. But like still, the Jedi games are quite open.
that's true.
I wouldn't have been able to platinum them otherwise. Like I yeah.
hey guys, give me just a second, and then we can continue.
Sure. Yeah, Jason, I think you'd enjoy it. I think you would enjoy it. I
Oh,
like I
I
said, I
probably would.
yeah, I think they fixed most of the problems. The really glaring stuff, I think it's mostly fixed already. So I had no
Yeah.
issues with the DLC when I played it, so that was all right. Yeah,
Well, that's cool. I didn't
yeah,
realize they got the DLC stuff out of it already, but I'm a huge Star Wars fan.
yeah,
I'm like as old as the first Star Wars film. I grew up watching it, playing the
yeah,
games and all that stuff. So I've been hoping to get into a game where it feels like, oh, I'm going to go do a mission and go to these other planets and that I'm not used to seeing in the movies and things like that. So that's what I
yeah.
was hoping out of Outlaws. And and like I said, I do like the two Jedi games with Cal.
Mm.
The second one, especially when you're going through what is it, that one desert planet or something like that. He's flying all over the place because of the witch girl there, and
Oh,
I'm like,
yes, yes, yes. Yeah.
whole my face dropped during that entire scene. I'm like, this is phenomenal. I want to see this in an actual Star Wars film.
Right.
And then at that one point, she kisses him. I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, yes, she's
Yes.
awesome. I love her.
Yeah.
And then he goes back to doing the fight, and I'm like, that was such an amazing scene of the game. That was
Yeah.
one of the best parts of Star Wars in a long time for me. But yeah, I'll get to Outlaws now that they did some patches and things like that.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry
And I
about
got to finish the second Jedi game there. Keep forgetting what it's called.
Survivor.
Survivor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah, yeah.
That's
Oh, you haven't
actually
finished it yet?
I
Okay.
haven't finished it either. I got a
Oh.
maybe I got it maybe like a quarter in, and I
Uh,
other stuff came out, and
Same.
yeah,
Yeah. I was just telling him
I
about the
yeah.
spot where he was going flying around on this action sequence with the desert and the witch girl. I forget her name off the top of my head though.
Yeah, I've forgotten it
She
too.
was helping him throughout this entire battle, and she kisses him in the middle of it, and then he goes back into the wood. I'm like, that was so well done out of a Star
Yeah.
Wars game. I'm like, if I see stuff like that in a real Star Wars movie, my face would be my jaw would drop. I would just be blown away by that scene alone.
expanded universe. Yes, if we could have got any of that stuff with Luke and Mara Jade, yeah, that would have been great.
Yeah, but
I
anyway,
I I beat in Platinum Survivor, but that was on my old PS5, which like so I lost my save. So
Oh,
I'd have to go back and
oh
play it again. Like
my,
I all my trophies are still there and everything, but
yeah,
my
yeah,
save is gone. So I'd have to go and play through it again to yeah. But I really enjoyed it and I enjoyed Fallen Order. And Outlaws is not as good as either of those two games. I feel, but it is still a uh very fun Star Wars game. Like I said, it's just refreshing to not play as a Jedi. I think
yeah.
that was maybe I think that's probably the best part of it is that you can just be a scoundrel and that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Jason, what's your honorable
well,
mentions?
I don't have that many to be honest. I'm trying to think of all the games I've played. There's a fair amount throughout the year, but I guess I would say the Castlevania Dominus collection, just because I never got to play Portrait of Ruin and Order of Ecclesia, and then once I played those, I'm like, I'm missing out on some good Castlevania games. Let's go. I guess that would be my honorable mention for the year. Just they were both really fun, and like you said, Portrait is out of the three of them, and it's probably would be my
That's
favorite,
the
even
best,
though
yeah.
Dawn of Sorrow is slightly better in terms of its pixel art and music, I guess I could say. But overall, Portrait is just you get to play these two characters, and the story is so much fun. And I'm like, I can't believe I didn't get a chance to play these before, but I'm so happy that they re-release these in a nice collection of games, and hopefully they do that with the 3D ones, like Release, Land
Yeah,
of
that would be
Innocence,
nice.
and
Yeah, please.
Curse of
64, yeah,
Darkness,
both
and the
64 games.
64
And the
games. Let's
64
Yes.
go.
games, yeah.
Yes.
Let's do it.
I have one of the 64 games and I have two of the PS2 games. And the two PS3 games. But like if they could put those in a collection, that would be nice. Because then I don't have to worry
Agree.
about like getting my PS2 out and like and trying to and the
Yeah.
N64 and trying to like play these games. But like yeah,
Yeah.
that would be cool. That would be super cool.
I do have some issues with the PS3 one. Well, at least part two more so, but
I've heard this, yeah, a lot of people that seems to be their
yeah,
least favorite is this the second
yeah,
Yeah, the first one was
uh
really, really good. The Lords of Shadows was great, but two was it
yeah.
was
it's weird. It's
hot
just
mess.
weird.
I,
Yeah,
I've
I, I
heard lots of
yeah.
things, yeah.
music's
I think
good in part one though.
I think remind me, right? Lords of Shadow 2 it starts with like the castle attack, right? And you're
Yes,
playing yeah, okay.
you're
I
playing
played through that
Dracula
bit.
and all that stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, I played through that bit. Now that seemed pretty fun, but that's I stopped there. Like I didn't go further than that.
I mean, to
So I
be
don't know
fair, it's
anything
kind of
else.
neat that you played at Belmont in the first one, who becomes Dracula. I'm like, well,
Mhm.
that's an
Right.
interesting twist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, then they got real messy with part
So I
two.
don't know. I'll eventually play through all of these. Yeah. Like I said, I haven't done the advanced collection yet, so I'll do that first, and then I'll do the Dominus collection, and then I'll do
That's a
the
good one too, the Advanced
yeah.
Collection.
Yeah.
So That's
When
fun.
in Laments of Innocence has the best soundtrack, man. Like I
Oh, that
love,
soundtrack's so good.
yeah,
I have that one. Yeah, I can see it right here.
yeah.
Yeah. Great soundtrack. Even though Curse of Darkness is a longer game, I think I like Lament a little bit more.
Hmm.
Leon's
I
pretty cool.
There was so many games that came out this year that I bought that I haven't even had a chance to touch. So like there's like Harold Halibut and there's uh oh shoot, suddenly forgot what it was. There's like but yeah, there's a bunch of games that came out this year that I bought because like everyone was talking about how great they were, and I just haven't had a chance to play them. So they can't even properly go in my honorable mentions because I haven't played them, so I don't know
Yeah.
if I actually like them. But like they
Yeah.
exist and they're there and everyone else seems to like them. So
What was
Oh,
it?
I do have two
Unicorn
others.
Overlord, Unicorn Overlord, or whatever. I have that. I've been wanting to
Yeah.
play that. I haven't
yeah.
had a chance because it's like it's
Yeah,
a
everyone
tactics
seems to
game.
love. Yeah, everyone seems to love Unicorn Overlord. Yeah,
Yeah.
Um,
man.
yeah, I've heard about that one. I haven't played it yet. I do have technically three more honorable mentions. I just thought of it.
Please.
Yeah.
Still Wakes the Deep is
Oh
a
yeah,
very
I haven't played that yet
interesting,
either. Yeah.
somewhat psychological, but the body horrors, like you're playing something out of the Thing or something like that on an oil rig. Very, very fun game, but man, what there was some moments I was just boom. I would try it out. It was like somehow my PS5 said, "Oh, thank you for your purchase," and I'm like, "I didn't purchase this game. What happened here?" I played it. I'm like, "Well, that's a happy purchase." Somehow I didn't do. Um, I recommend it if you want like that kind of for.
Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of a stealthy-ish game because you don't do a lot of shooting, but there is. It's really cool, and it's got this whole Scottish-ish or something like that. It's a different accent kind of game, which is kind of neat. The other two, they came out earlier, like the Plague Tale series, actually, the two of them. Um, I played the first one a couple of years ago, but I never actually finished it. So when I replayed it this year, and I was like, why didn't I finish this? This game is phenomenal. Great story of this girl and her brother trying to survive the plague, and um, phenomenal storyline. And then part two, just if you haven't played part two yet, the ending is gut wrenching, but phenomenal game. That was probably my other honorable mention. Almost made it to my top five. Just but there was a few other games that are just like
Yeah.
knocked out of the park for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said
I
three, right? Did you have all three? I think you did two. Or
The two plate games. Or
oh,
Oh,
okay,
the
okay.
okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
I've
And
only
then still
played
weeks.
the a bit of the first one, and I did enjoy what I played of it. So I have to get back to it because like yeah,
Great story.
it does seem
Mhm.
pretty
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
And the second one is a little bit more open world ish.
Okay.
So it's bigger maps and
Hmm.
more characters involved. And the main character that you play, she goes through a lot in these two games, like mentally, and
Hmm.
phenomenal storyline. Give it a shot if you haven't played part one. Well, it seems like you have, but you know, just have
Yeah.
to
Just a
get to
bit.
the
Yeah. I
end
have
of
to
it
go
a
back
little. And
and
then part
I
two,
have to go back and actually do it. Yeah.
yeah, they're phenomenal games.
All right, so let's get on to our number ones.
Oh boy.
Drum roll, please.
Well, this is going to be a no-brainer. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. But
Way.
probably the best game I've played in a long time. There's a couple things I don't like about it, but that's just mostly because there's too many mini games. They went a little too overboard with it. But the story has been expanded so well. They did better character developments in these games. And one of the characters in this game I did not like in the original, also because she's an optional character and she just annoys me. Materia, Yuffie
Oh, yeah.
Kisaragi is done so well in this game. She's my favorite character now. Like,
Ooh.
yeah, she breaks the game very well because she uses ninjutsu to stagger the enemies very well. Like if you use her properly, oh my god, hands down my favorite character in the game. But I wasn't a fan of Tifa. A lot of people are. I like her more in this version now. She has a better character story. Aerith, I always liked her, but you know, she's the heart of the storyline. If you haven't played seven, she is.
Yeah.
This There's so much you can do in this game. It's just so good. The music, the characters, the gameplay. They expanded the gameplay from remake to rebirth. Redefined the materia system a little bit better. The bosses, oh my god, they can't state this enough. How good the game got. Um, like I said, 137 hours, and I still haven't done everything in the game. It's long
Hmm.
if you want to do everything. It's just a phenomenal experience in its own right. Heck, even Cloud is even better in this version than the original. He's all the characters. Oh my god, they just did everything so well in this. I don't know what else I could say about it other than if you haven't played it yet, get to it. What are you waiting for? Um,
Yeah.
Revitalized my love for the Final Fantasy series, especially after playing like 15. Although I love 16, don't get me wrong, but I think they did a better job with this game compared to 16 in many ways. Although I still miss the turn-based stuff. Um, just so good, so good.
I'm a big Final Fantasy fan. I own every single one somehow, except for 11 and 14 because they're the MMO type.
Yeah,
But the other ones, the single player ones, I own all of them in one format or another. But
same.
I've only ever finished two of them. That's Final Fantasy 7 and Final Fantasy 9. Almost every other one I've started and then like abandoned for one reason or another, partway through. But when Remake came out, I went and played through all of that as well. But I haven't had a chance to go to Rebirth yet. I have it, I just haven't played through it yet. It's one of those games. Yeah, I just haven't had a chance to get through.
It will
And like
consume you.
16, I also haven't started yet. I do have it, but I haven't started it
It's
yet.
good.
And 15, I stopped because I got bored, unfortunately. Yeah.
I platinum 15. I can understand. I enjoyed it for what it was, but
I
16
mean,
is definitely a better game for sure.
yeah, I'll get back to 15 eventually. I'll get back to all of them eventually. Like
Mhm.
I was really, really enjoying 12. I had it on
12's good.
PS4. I think it was like a re-release. I can't remember.
Oh
Not,
yeah,
it wasn't a remake, but it was a re-release or something, a
it's
remaster
called the
maybe.
Zodiac Age.
Yeah, yeah. So I have that on PS4, and I got a fair amount through, and I was really enjoying it. I really enjoyed the whole Star Wars vibe of it.
Yeah.
But I just,
Yeah, yeah.
I never quite finished it. And yeah, like I said, I feel bad. Like the Zelda games before I started to properly get through them. I played a lot of Final Fantasies without ever actually finishing them, and I realized that was the same for Zelda, which is why I started playing all the Zeldas. Like I really want to finish these games. So maybe I'll do something similar in the future. Where I'll just play through every Final Fantasy, even though that will take way longer than
It will. It will consume
playing
you.
through the Zeldas. Yeah.
Of course, I can help you with if you need help with most of them.
Yeah.
And
Well, and the good thing is like when you start playing the collection for 1 through 6, with those additional bonuses, it makes it a lot easier to go through. And
Mm.
the fun part of it becomes enjoying the story and then grinding for the things that you need to drop to get your trophies. Because that's it was fun going back to those
So
all again.
oh yeah,
the first six Final Fantasies I've actually never played. The first Final Fantasy I played was Mystic Quest, the baby's first Final Fantasy on the
Hmm.
SNES. But
great
that really
soundtrack.
got me into Final Fantasy. But like the first proper one I played was seven, and like I
Yeah.
love seven so much, right? So I started playing everything thereafter. But now that we have the Pixel Remaster Collection or whatever it's called, and I have two copies of it, I can play through the first six finally. Yeah,
Yeah. It's nice that that all of the Final Fantasies are on almost every console now. Like
yeah.
you can just be able to play any one you want. Um,
I forgot I do have the PS1 collections. I remember because that's where I have Chrono Trigger. Because PS1 had
That's
one and
true.
two, and
Yes.
then it had like four in Chrono Trigger, and then five and six,
yeah,
or three in Chrono Trigger. One of them was
four.
missing. I
Yeah, it
remember
was
Four came with
four.
Chrono Trigger, and then
it
five
was
and
5 and 6.
yeah,
Yeah, and five and six. So three was
Yeah.
missing, right? Three was missing from the PS1. I remember. So you could almost get every Final Fantasy up to then on the
Did
PS1,
y'all
up
ever
to
see
nine.
the Japanese release of that, like 4, 5, and 6 when they
No.
released it? It's like this aqua blue like water box and stuff. It's awesome looking.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Um, I remember like I was like I saw that was coming out and the cutscenes were going to be in the game. I was like, I need to get this, Dad. I need to get this imported. And then it actually when I was working at Game Crazy, it actually came into the store. And I just kicked myself for not like picking it up. I wanted to, but I
Yeah.
just never did.
I'm going to Japan next year, so I'll look for it because I didn't know that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
it's
look for that.
cool.
Yeah.
But no, I mean the Final Fantasy has been like one of the series I love. I mean it's I mean I've always played RPGs as far as like tabletop D&D, Magic the Gathering. I mean well Vampire the Masquerade, Rifts, all that stuff, Marvel
Hmm.
superheroes. And I kind of started playing RPGs because on as far as the video game side because I wanted to supplement when I wasn't playing RPGs with my dad and friends. I was playing RPGs by myself on, on the video game side. The I love the series, and it's kind of funny because like you mentioned Mystic Quest, and I actually enjoyed that game.
I
I didn't.
really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah. Um.
Like and like if it wasn't for Mystic Quest, I never would have gotten to, like the rest of Final Fantasy. Like, and
Mhm.
I know, like, it's derided a lot because, like, oh, it's so simple, and it's like it's very like it was very clearly made for a US market because they felt like the other Final Fantasies were too difficult,
Yeah.
right? So they made
Mhm.
like a very kind of watered down, easier Final Fantasy. But like if not for Mystic Quest, I never would have gotten into proper, quote unquote
RPG.
proper Final Fantasies and
Hmm.
proper RPGs. Yeah. And actually, like, Vince, it's funny that you're like, oh, you started with TTRPGs and then made your way to the video games. I was the opposite. I
Oh,
started with video
nice.
game RPGs, and then I was like, this is cool and I really enjoy this. But what if we could tell the story myself, right? If I could tell the story like
Right.
what I so then I went to I didn't get into TTRPGs until college, but I had a really good game dungeon master. We played D&D second edition,
Hmm.
AD&D second edition, and like I had a really good dungeon master who was a very really good storyteller, and like the group of friends that we were playing were all really good. Like so it was one of my like
Excellent
core
time.
memories. Yeah, one of my core
Yeah.
memories of like, and we also played some Deadlands and some Cyberpunk, and but like D&D was the one that we kept coming back to, and it was a really long running game, using the same characters, the same story, and like the dungeon, our dungeon master was so in demand that he actually was running like three separate games, all taking
Wow.
place in the same world. So occasionally we would have like the MCU, we would like cross over into each other's
That's
games. Yeah, yeah,
that is fantastic. Yeah,
yeah.
we had like my dad was the DM most of the time for everything that we did.
Ah,
So and there would be epic sessions. It was like we would start on a Friday and on Sunday. Like
damn.
we would play, like have a
Yeah.
break to go have lunch or dinner, then come back and play more. And I mean I started playing RPGs at 7. The first one I did was the Marvel superheroes. I think I
Hmm.
woke up one Christmas. It was just like it was sometime in December or whatever, and my dad and my Uncle Colin were just sitting there playing a one-on-one game. My dad was DMing. I don't remember what my Uncle Colin was playing. I was like, "What are you guys doing?" And he's like, we're all playing and blah blah blah." My dad was explaining it to me, and I was like, "Well, I want to play." And um, I picked Cyclops, and I was like, "All right, let's go." And I just have this fond memory of this experience, and
Yeah.
um, like if I could go back and like just rekindle like playing RPGs again like that, I probably would stop playing video games because it was so fun just being able to like do this dance of telling a story
Mm.
with, with your friends or family, and it was so awesome. But I've like after a certain point, we just stopped playing, and it's like that itch that you just can't scratch because like sometimes you can't get certain friends into it because they're not adapt to
Yeah.
it. So, but you just do what you can.
We've written a short story, our main character, like our children's story, a children's book, right? So we have our characters playing a D&D style game. So like we go back and forth between like the real world and the game world. And like we realize that it's difficult to sort of like things that are very obvious to us, like how
Hmm.
the game, like how the dungeon master would like be different characters at the same time, right? Like to us, it's very obvious, but like our editor had a really hard time sort of wrapping her head around how this works because she's never played a TTRPG, right? So like we were like, oh, we don't want kids to be confused. We want them to like to enjoy the story and hopefully try to start playing these games on with their friends and stuff. So we have to try and make it a little like kind of like not dumb it down, but like explain things a little bit better. Things that are
Yeah.
very obvious to me and Felicia, and to you guys, I'm sure. And but like explain them a little bit better of like how the dungeon master's playing multiple characters. How like when you split the party, the dungeon master obviously when it's time for that side of the party to play, those characters to play, the dungeon master has to be there, otherwise they can't play, right? So like we have to explain we have to like and again, very obvious to us. But like
Yeah.
to someone who's never played before, like they're like, how does this work? Are they just doing it by themselves? Right. So yeah, we have to it was very fun writing. Like it was very fun writing the story. Less fun to edit it because we had like remember we realized we had to like go back and like add in all these things because our editor was
Yeah.
like, I don't know what any of this means. Yeah.
I mean, my dad was making that joke last night about you guys, we role play and stuff, and I'd be playing all these other characters, all these NPCs and stuff, so I'd be having multiple conversations with myself.
Yeah, yeah. That was one of the things she asked about because like we have our dungeon master character he plays he plays every NPC, right? He's everybody else in the world. So
Yeah.
there are times when he's having conversation with himself, and she was like, "Is so in the real world is he just talking to himself?" And we're like, "Yeah, basically, like
Yeah.
that's what's happening. He's
Yeah.
having both sides of this conversation." Because this is a story, right? And like yeah, so it's just it was really interesting, like the things that we had that we didn't think we would have to explain that we had to go and explain.
Playing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Man.
Um, I miss playing D&D. I'm glad we're getting something going there. I still have to give up the outline
Yeah.
to the group, but yeah, so I just can't wait to play again. It's been a long time. But
Well, you're welcome.
yeah, I mean,
You're
yeah,
welcome to
you're
join us, Dan, if you want, like us playing D&D at some point.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. You guys,
Uh,
what edition are you guys playing?
We're probably gonna play fifth. It's gonna be
Okay.
the easiest because I mean it's easier for new players or whatever, but it's also
Hmm.
like it's the closest you can get to having like advanced Dungeons and Dragons kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I think you have something on your Discord, right? Like you have a channel for it already? Yeah,
Hmm.
I'll
Yeah.
go through and like read through and see because I haven't been paying attention.
yeah.
No,
But
it's okay.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll be the game master for it.
Okay. Cool,
We
cool,
might
cool.
do some kind of rotation, but I have some stuff going in my head about what I want to do. It's going to be slight steampunk, and the reason why I was mentioning that in the chat the other day is because I was watching somebody play Final Fantasy VI. I'm like, oh,
Oh yeah.
Oh,
steampunk,
yeah,
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 okay,
yeah.
Yeah,
that'll be a lot of
yeah,
fun to throw in
Let's
there.
go.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right,
So,
cool, cool,
and then
cool.
you
Yeah.
mentioned the airship. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, we got to steal
So,
an airship somehow. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So,
But
but
all
yeah,
right. So, Dan, let's get into your number one.
All right, so my number one is I on it's kind of a dark horse pick, honestly, because I didn't like it's a really good game, don't get me wrong, but I think not a lot of people have played it yet. And it's a PC game. It's available on Steam. I'm sure it's available on other storefronts, but it's definitely on Steam. That's where I got it from. And it's Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. And I
Heard
think it's
about
also
that.
available on console, if I'm not wrong. It might
I
already
think
be
so.
available on console. Yeah. I might have to go pick up a physical PS5 copy as well, and then play through it again to get the trophies. But like, yeah, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes is this. It's a puzzle box game. You play as this woman who is invited to this house, to this mansion, and or sorry, yeah, it's a mansion, but it's also like like a rundown hotel because after it was a mansion, it became a hotel, and now it's nothing. It's closed down, right? So you're invited mysteriously to this mansion slash hotel, and then you get there and you immediately have to start solving puzzles. It's like a really big escape room in a video game format, right? So there's lots of different
ooh,
clues.
okay,
A lot of the clues, a lot of the stuff that you have to figure out is like real world knowledge. Like you have to go and like start opening some math books or start like figuring things out. Like the like everything you need to beat this game is within the game, except for some puzzles that literally ask all right, let me walk that back. These aren't like math problems, and no one's asking you like the capital of Zimbabwe or whatever, right? Like it's not that kind of questions. They're more like logic problems, and they're more so like everything that you need to beat is actually in the game, and sometimes you just have to like use your brain, right? You just have to like remember where things are, or remember, or like I said, like try to figure out like the logic of it all. And like Felicia and I played through this on stream, and like I kind of regret that now because like if you had watched it, you everything will be ruined for you, right? Obviously, because everything is a puzzle, and if you're watching me play it, if you watched us play it, you will know the answer to every puzzle, right?
Yeah.
But like, but hopefully like it's weird for me to say this, but hopefully you did watch it and nobody watched it, and it was just me and Felicia playing to the either. Because like yeah, it's a really good game. It's really fun. It's like it's one of those games where like you feel like a genius when you like figure out one of these problems, one of these logic problems, or you figure out like what you're supposed to do next. And then of course the next puzzle comes up and you feel like a total idiot because you're like, ah, what does this mean? I don't know how to figure this one out. Ah, and then it takes a while to like go and like try and figure it out. Um, but it's very and like the story is like a really sort of interesting, mysterious story and has a lot to do with like art about art, like capital, like not just capital A art, but also smaller, lowercase art. Like what is art? Who is art for? Who like can anyone make art? Can anyone view art? Can anyone like it's a lot of these questions about art, right? And like not just like oh sculpture and paintings but also video games and film and like everything everything can be art and like that's one another question right is like what can be art right so like there's a lot of these sorts of like really interesting like questions and like the stories I don't want to say too much about it because like the story's really good I feel and but like to say anything about it might be like an accidental spoiler for at least part of it so I don't want to say too much about it but it's very interesting it's very mysterious and I love the way how many things are nested within each other and like how they all fit together like and we spent a lot of Lorelei not understanding like or not we understood we just didn't realize how these things fit together until
Hmm.
you get to a certain point of the game and then suddenly everything makes perfect sense and it was such a nice like feeling to like get to that point of the game and suddenly everything makes sense and you're like oh this means that was here this over here blah 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 and it's like it's so cool because you spend a lot of the game kind of like confused a little bit right like how I don't understand how any of these things fit together it's interesting by themselves they're interesting on their own but like they don't really fit together are these like separate stories are these like vignettes from different blah 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 like and then at the end everything just beautifully coalesces or not the end but like near the end everything beautifully coalesces together and you're just like we just have this moment of like
Eureka.
this yeah like that meme of like the brain exploding it's just like whoa like everything makes sense and it's like I think it's a fantastic piece of writing um and the mechanics like I do love puzzle games and like this puzzle game is never so hard that you like will quit in frustration but it's not easy either right like I say like you feel like a genius when you figure it out because the problem it can occasionally be like it's not like I never felt frustrated there was a couple of times in me where I felt a little bit frustrated but overall I think like the puzzles are difficult enough that they challenge you but never so difficult or rarely difficult enough that you're like oh this is nonsense I don't want to like this is so frustrating I don't want to do this anymore we never got to that point. Like even when we were slightly frustrated, we just went, you know what? We'll come back to this later. We'll go somewhere else, do something different, and then later we'll come back to this and see if we can't figure it out. And like I say, once you figure out certain things, like it helps you with other puzzles because you figured out this one little piece of how this works. So now you can use that with other puzzles around the house, around the mansion, around the hotel. And it's really really good. This is my game of the year.
No, that's
Bar
awesome.
none. Like
Pretty cool.
I can't like as much as I love Alan Wake 2, as much as I love Animal Well, Astrobot, UFO 50, like this one is like I think like here's my other four, and then like way up here is Lorelei. Like that's how much I love this. That's how good I think it is.
Definitely
Yeah.
want to check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard a lot of buzz about it, but I never got to check it out. And so, like, just hearing this intrigues me even more to like check it out.
Yeah.
But like pulling up the what the game looks like, it's very, very like what?
It's almost like you're playing on the Virtual Boy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good analogy to it. Like
Okay.
Like
it's like
that sort
very
of visual. Yeah.
it's grays and black and in reds and like
Yeah.
or magenta. Man, that looks cool.
It's a good time. And I like I said, like sometimes like when you figure a thing out you feel like such a genius because you're like oh and then of course you think about it you're like oh this was actually quite obvious and I should have figured it out much earlier
Hmm.
but like
Yeah.
it's really like that's all in hindsight is 2020 of course it's just like all of this was just it's really really good I wish I could erase it all from my brain so I could play it again
Play it
fresh
again.
yeah
Oh man, I don't know how many times like I think about like that with certain movies. It's like I want to
yeah
experience the joy that this movie brought me. That again, but I
yeah
mean, sometimes it's like one of those things you have to be at that right mindset and right place to enjoy it the way that
Hmm.
you enjoyed it that first time. Because like,
Yeah, because there's lots of different like outside influences, right? It's not just you viewing this movie. There's a lot of other stuff going on outside, and you
mm-hmm,
have to get those things just right, right? And it's obviously that's impossible to do a
yeah.
second time, right? Yeah.
hmm And I wonder if there would be a game like that, or like someone needs to make a game where it's like, experience for the first time. And I'm pretty sure Lorelai is like that, especially like you were just saying, and that's very intriguing.
Yeah. Like
So I
I
mean,
don't want to like I said I don't want to say too much about it, like the story especially because like it's such I think a phenomenal piece of writing and like everything like I said everything fits so well at a certain point in the game and you're just like whoa. Yeah, like it's really good. Yeah.
Definitely will check that out.
yeah, definitely. I got it
Yeah.
on the list to purchase. Especially, I need to see if it's on. I think it's on. I think it's on other consoles.
I think it should be now. Like it came out originally on PC, but I think it's now on at least PS5 if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, Switch,
Um
PS5, and
there you go.
Windows. Yeah, so
There
it's
you
not
go.
even.
Yeah.
Which is weird that it's on Windows but not Xbox. Maybe it's just because of the way it controls, like you're interactive with the
Well, I don't
UI
know
of
if
the
like
game.
if you could put it on if you could put it on PS5 and Switch, Xbox should,
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah,
I feel bad because like a lot of things seem to be skipping Xbox for whatever reason. I feel a little bit bad because like Xbox isn't it's a good machine and I feel people
right.
should make
Mm-hmm.
games for it. Yeah. Xbox especially should be making Xbox games.
Right?
Well, I was thinking just because like for me, you have the touchpad, right? That this here, and then like with the Switch, you
Oh,
have the touch too, on the screen as well.
that's a
Maybe
good
that's a
point.
that's
Yeah.
maybe that's a
True.
factor. I'm not sure
Maybe,
though.
maybe. Yeah.
Um, maybe that's something that Xbox needs to look at for whatever if they decide to make another console. I know there's a lot of speculation on that's going to happen, but
Hmm.
um, but they could still do the controller, if especially if it's going to be
Yeah.
Xbox in every TV or whatever.
Yeah.
So, um, this year has definitely been a great year for games. For me, the reason why my number one pick is the what it is because it not only was a phenomenal game, it um, doesn't really kind of finish the story, but it definitely goes in a different take. I'm pretty sure people aren't going to be surprised what this is. I know Jason's not, but it tickled a sense of nostalgia. It brought me back from, me being right now 43-year-old guy who's a parent. But when I played this game originally, I was 16 years old, sitting at home, and it felt like I was at home visiting old friends, and like reliving like the stories. And it's not like, us kind of verbatim going like, oh, what this was or on these moments in life. It's like our imagination of what those stories were, but like hyped to 10 or 11 because, you know, it was great in the moment, but our imagination and we can embellish on it more than like what it was. So, and that's, you know, Rebirth.
Hey.
This game, this was everything I wanted. I know that they changed certain aspects of the story, but I love the different regions. I loved like getting to explore more than what we were bound to by the game design of the original game. Um, Getting to see the more depth of the characters, the growth, the getting to like meet people in town and them having bigger stories than just like one scripted dialogue, that you read and then you move on and they repeat that same dialogue. Uh, you can see like where things are going to go. Because I remember like when you get to Junon and you climb up and you're right there with the high wind and how beautiful just seeing that thing floating right there. I
Mm.
hooked and then I was like there was such an attention to detail that it was like okay, we're going to make this game, but we're going to make this game for the fans that played this originally. And it was like it's what our minds thought this game looked like when we were playing it back then. And then just the cutscenes, the exploring the worlds. It was what every remake should be. They should take something, expand upon it, increase it. Because a lot of times that stuff is a limitation of like just the memory of the game, what they can do at the time. Um, and we've had some great remakes, but this just took it to a whole new level. I don't think I've played anything lately that, I mean, even Silent Hill, I didn't get to play all the way through, so I can't judge it by the merit of what it has. But I know that I felt like it was very nostalgic, but I'm hoping it's going to live up to what this game achieved. Um, and I can't wait for the next one. It's to finally see where things are going to go. I have my theories about what's actually going on. And I like to hopefully see that happen. Um, but we'll see where it goes because I don't think it's necessarily like a retelling. I don't think it's a a new relaunch of the world because an event happened previous in one of the games that changed the outcome of the story. I think it's kind of in the same story, just manipulated by a situation that happens towards the middle of the game. But
Interesting.
um, it was great getting to see like all the summons. I was happy to be able to reach level 50. I still think it sucks that or 75, right? I think they made it 75 as
I
the
think it's 70 for this one.
yeah, so
70,
yeah.
75.
It's like
Yeah.
let me be 99. Let me just like be maxed out and like destroy this game. I did it with the original. Come on. But
I mean, I get it, but yeah.
but playing this game like really took me back to being a kid and remembering why I enjoyed video games, why this was such a fun hobby, and how I made great friends because of playing this game. I still make great friends because I played this game, or just any gaming in general. But it really connected me back to my past. And I haven't played a game, like with Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster. It was fun to play that. It was cool. It was very nostalgic. But it didn't it's like I could have just grabbed my copy on the 360 and played that. This is something different. There's a level of love and care that's going into this, like this remake trilogy, and I'm really looking forward and I'm hoping that with part three that it's going to happen. I know it's going to happen, but I know that Square's having some financial troubles and stuff like that because of whatever reason. Some of their stuff has been bombs lately, and there's I don't know. I don't even know where I'm going to go with that. But a lot of it too is, some people just want things to go back to normal. Like I want turn-based again. I don't, as much as action is fun, I want to be able to select all my stuff and hit it and watch them do it. And at least I want that option. It doesn't take away how great this game was, especially for this year. And I played a lot of it. I mean, I literally streamed this game for 24 hours straight just because I knew I could and I wanted to. But
Hmm.
it's great when you have a game that you want to devote a lot of your time to that because you just want to get lost in. And that was what was good about gaming, and that's why we enjoy talking about this stuff is because, you sometimes want to be lost in the world because our normal lives can be frustrating. We got so much other external things that are affecting us, and being able to play something that's gonna completely drown it out for at least how many hours you're playing it or for the entire time you play it is always a good thing because sometimes you just need that um moment of zen. So, but yeah, that's my number one.
This game
But
is definitely easy to get lost in it. Just
Hmm.
the amount of stuff you can do and explore and things like that, you will be immersed and it will consume you. I wasn't kidding that this game will consume
We're
your
gonna make
life for a while,
I,
but it's
as I
amazing.
mentioned, like I do have it. I just haven't had a chance to play it. But like I will be gone a good chunk of January and February. And I was thinking, like as you guys know, like for my channel, I usually will try to like record videos to go up
Mhm.
when I would normally stream. And I was thinking, like normally I just sort of play like a bunch, like the first 2 hours of a bunch of different games. But I was thinking this time I would just play one game and try to finish it, like because like I said, I'm gone for like 4 weeks or something, so quite a while. Um, so I was thinking like maybe I could play one game and maybe finish it, during those for all those videos that would be going up while I'm gone.
Mhm.
And but I hadn't decided what game to play, but maybe I'm going to do Rebirth because you guys are making it sound really good. And like I said, I really enjoyed Remake. I really enjoyed
yeah.
Remake. and I was quite interested to see where the story was going to go after that. Because like there's some events in remake where like you're like, oh, this seems a bit. Wait, what? So I'm interested to see where it goes in Rebirth and how they kind of like you Vince, you mentioned a little bit like without giving
Yeah.
anything away, you mentioned like, oh, maybe yes, maybe no. So I'm like, maybe yeah. So I want to see where this goes. So yeah, maybe that's the one that I'll do. I'll record a bunch of videos of me playing Rebirth all the way through so that I can play it and finish it, because I realize sometimes I don't play games all the way through if I'm not streaming them, no matter how much they grab me. Like I'll just play the first 2 hours and then I'm done for quite a long time. I recently finished Tinykin only because it was about to leave the PS Plus catalog.
Nice.
So I was like, oh, I got to finish this one. It was quite a fun game, so I did enjoy that one. And it was a shorter game too, so I didn't have to worry too much about like taking too much of my time. But yes, I think, and I mentioned to you guys earlier before we started. I think before we started recording that like I'm often afraid to start an RPG because I know how long they are, and I know how much time I don't have to finish them most of the time, right? So like, and if I start an RPG and really kind of get into it, that's the only game I'm playing, right? For quite a while. And there's constantly new stuff coming out that I want to try. There's constantly new things. And in an RPG, if you stop playing even for like a week or two, you forget things and your muscle memory goes. And it's difficult to not just sort of sit with that one game and play it all the way through. Um, and sometimes I feel like I just don't have that kind of time anymore as a working adult. So it can be hard to make that time. So I tend to gravitate to like shorter games or games that like I can stream the whole thing, right? Like so if I'm streaming it, I know I'm going to be playing at least 2 hours every week, right?
Hmm.
So at least that's something, right? But like when it becomes a longer game like that, it's very, and that's like, if I'm only playing 2 hours a week, that's going to take me what, a year and a half to like get through that whole game. Yeah, so it's yeah.
Yeah. No, I understand. I totally get
Yeah.
it because we as being adults, we work in, we depending on what the type of job is, we may not have that disposable time. And that's
Mm.
all it is. It's time, and one thing
It's
I
that.
can say being a YouTuber now is the fact that like that's an extra thing I have to add on to the time I didn't have in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Like
I
I
gotta
do. I'm happy that I started streaming because that at least guarantees that I'll game for 8 hours a week, right? Because I do two
yeah.
hours for 4 nights a week. So at least I know that I at least have 8 hours a week of gaming, and I don't have, if even if I don't get any other time because I'm busy or we have to go do stuff or whatever, at least I got those 8 hours, and they're fairly sacrosanct, right? Like Felicia knows already, like not to try really hard not to do anything during these nights, not to uh what's the word, schedule, not to
Schedule
schedule
something. Yeah.
anything. Yeah. So because we're gonna be doing this, or I'm gonna be doing this, so like it's nice to have those 8 hours at least every week. So I do enjoy streaming for that reason. But yes, like other times it's sometimes hard, and like there's other things, competing things, right? Like there's TV and movies I want to watch, there's books I want to read. So it's you're and I have to work. I have to make some money. Otherwise, I can't read my books and play my video games and watch my movies.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
So
We're
right.
just
yeah.
fueling our passions. Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like it's that I was gonna say it's like that meme where like as a kid you have all the time but no money. As an adult you have all the money but no time. It's like
Yep.
Yeah. And then you don't have time or money and you're shaking your fist at the cloud.
yeah.
Oh,
And then you're just
I'm a
That's
like,
right.
grumpy old man.
everything's terrible.
Yeah. But overall, like what do you guys thought about this year for gaming? Has there been some good ones? Has it been overall better than like what it was for 2023? Has it been actually one of the better years of gaming for you?
I
I,
think I yeah, I think it's been quite a good game. I'm trying to remember if there's any like game that I played that like I outright didn't like. And I don't think there was any. Like I think every game that I played, I at least somewhat enjoyed. I can recognize the issues that it might have had, or the problems or glitches or whatever, but
Hmm.
like nothing where I was like, oh, this is garbage. I want to stop playing this immediately. I don't want to do this anymore. Nothing, everything I was like, even the like I said, I play a lot of games where I just play the first 2 or so hours of it. But every one of those games I want to return to eventually at some point in the nebulous future when I have more time. Because like I did enjoy my time with them, and I want to see where the rest of it goes. Like there was nothing that I played where I was like, oh, this is nah, I don't. Actually, the only one that I did that was kind of like that was the Technomancer, but that's not from this year. That's from a lot earlier, like 2013 or something, 2012. But like, yeah, like I think that was the only one where I was just like, maybe this one I can skip. But everything else, I enjoyed my time with it, and I want to get back to it. And I'm glad to have been able to finish the games that I did finish. I think like this was a record for me this year. I think I finished somewhere around the 60
Nice.
games.
Hmm.
And they weren't all like super short. There was a couple of longer ones in there. Again, thanks to streaming, I was able to at least consistently put in 2 hours a week into the games. Yeah, so like I was able to finish around 60 games. I hold on, I have my list here. I can very quickly, let's see if I can very quickly
Yeah, we were
sort
joking
my
about that
list.
before in Cap's Discord about like not ha I don't have a list of I just like I have my games in a way that like they're if they're haven't finished they're kind of out of the row of all the other games that I have finished. So it's like
Right.
they kind of stand out for me.
Let's see. Where is it? Where's my cutoff here? Uh oh, you know what? I'm wrong. It's half of what I thought it was. It's around 30 plus games, excuse me. I think I you know what? There's a couple of games that I finished, but I don't count them done because I haven't done something like I haven't gotten the platinum or whatever, even though I got to the
Mm.
end of the game. So I haven't counted them as finished on my list, and I think that's why. So I think like officially on my official list, I have 33 games that I finished this year.
Nice.
No, 30. Yeah, 33. Sorry, it is 33. Yeah, correct. That I finished this year, which I think is a record for me. I think this is the most games I've finished in a year so far. So that's nice. Yeah, like I said, some of them were short, some of them were long, but like yeah, I like as far as gaming goes, I've enjoyed I've enjoyed pretty much everything that I played this year, old and new, retro and new. I've enjoyed everything. I almost everything I played this year.
That's good.
Yeah. It's nice. It's nice to kind of go back and be like, yeah, everything was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Jason?
Um, I would have to agree. Like, I don't think I've beaten that many games over the year, just due to like work and whatever, and
Mm.
replaying the same game over and over again just because of how much I enjoyed it. But no, this was a really good year for games in general. Some of the best remakes that I've played in a while, such as Seven Rebirth and the Silent Hill and whatnot, and then some of the other RPGs that came out, and some of the indie games that are producing the turn-based stuff, like the Chronicle game and Sea of
Oh
Stars,
yeah, Sea
and
of Stars. That's on my. I completely forgot about that. That's on my
yeah,
honorable mentions. Yeah.
yeah. I haven't played it. I know it's inspired by Chrono Trigger, which is
Mm,
a reason why I want to play it because Chrono Trigger is one of those RPGs that are timeless to me. Um, it's just I don't know, been an overall really good year for mixture of games that I like. The hack and slash, the uh, RPGs, the survival horror, and other types and whatnot. So yeah, well, I haven't been disappointed this year, for
yeah.
the most part.
Yeah, same here. I think I was like I don't remember how I think I said it like oh wait, what 42 or something like that. I don't remember what my list was. I posted whatever number it was, but I mean a lot of it was too was just going back and playing old games. Like I think I finished Symphony of the Night like 3 times this year, you
Same.
know, and then the Portrait of Ruin and um Dawn of Sorrows. I played through like all of these the Final Fantasy games. There was just a bunch of stuff that I was just like I just kind of went through. Like I'm working my way through Front Mission 1, and Front Mission 2 got the remaster of that one came out just recently, or as far as like early mid this
Can't
year.
wait for part three.
I can't wait either. Three's my favorite. But it was good
Same.
to be able to play through 1 and 2. I mean, I played through 1 the first time on when it came out on the DS, but we never got 2, and then we didn't even get Tactics either, or whatever that second that mid game one. I
Hmm.
don't think it's Tactics. I think it's something else, but like it's kind of like it's almost like Metal Warriors and what was the other one? There's another Super Nintendo game where it's like a side-scrolling mech game. Um,
I think I know what you're getting at. I can't think of the title though.
Cybernator?
Maybe.
or something. I think it's Cybernator. I don't, but and that was the other thing. It's just like, and then just playing a bunch of stuff on my Switch, like some indie games and just stuff that was coming out. Um, but yeah, it's been a really good year for gaming. Um, I was very happy, and then the biggest surprise I got of the year was at the Game Awards, getting to see that there's going to be a new Onimusha game coming out. I'm like, yes.
Yes. Yes. That's
I
awesome.
haven't watched the Game Awards yet, but like I've been getting a lot of the news. So like yeah, they the new Onimusha and then the new Naughty Dog game looks pretty interesting as well.
It does. It
Yeah.
Yeah.
does. And I saw someone had who done a parallel between her, her ship, and Kaneda and his bike.
Uh,
I'll have to find that video and I'll drop it in the
uh,
in
Oh, I gotta see that.
yeah, because she even has a red jacket.
Nice.
Her ship is red. Yeah. The way the lights up when she's sitting the keys, it's very similar like when he's sitting there on
And to be fair,
the music
his
box.
bike is very iconic
Yeah.
throughout all the medium.
And I know it's getting a lot of flack, but I'm looking forward to seeing what it's going to be.
yeah,
If it's like Uncharted meets like Mass Effect, I'm there. I'm like,
I'm
I
in.
don't,
I'm in for that.
Well,
Yeah.
yes,
That
let's
sounds
go.
amazing.
yeah, I don't care if she's a female protagonist. It's whatever. Let's go.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I don't know. But there's a lot of good stuff looking forward to. Maybe we'll do an episode where we'll talk about like what games we're looking forward to for
Hmm.
2025 at some point. Um, but yeah, guys, thank you. Thank you for coming on and doing this. This was a lot of fun. I've been
Yeah.
trying to do these every year, but like last year I had all that tooth pain going on, and I just completely dropped off because I was like I come home from work hurting, and I was like, no, I'm gonna lay down. I'm not gonna do anything.
Yeah,
I do
fair.
remember you going through
Fair.
the tooth pain for
Yeah.
a while.
hmm So I'm glad all that's gone. I don't have to worry about my wisdom teeth anymore, and I should have had that done a long time ago, but
So I keep telling this story, right? But like, so I still have all four of my wisdom teeth, and apparently I've got two baby teeth that never fell out,
oh
but
wow.
all my adult teeth have grown in. So every time I go to the dentist like because sometimes it's a new dentist, right? Like we go to the same place, but the dentists rotate. So every new dentist who looks at my mouth is always like, "Wow, you've got all these teeth in here. You got a really big mouth." And my response is always, "Yeah, that's what my wife says." I got a big mouth. And so like yeah, so like I have a lot of teeth, and apparently my mouth is just big enough to like fit them all in without any issues. And yeah,
Oh
thankfully I've
wow,
never had any issues with any
Oh,
like
that's
having
good.
so
well,
many
that's
friggin' teeth.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really good. Uh,
Hopefully that'll hold until very old age.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah. But no, yeah. Love to have you guys back on again. I'll find
Yeah.
another topic. Um, but
Well,
yeah,
this
Always
was
yeah,
down
really
for that.
fun. This was very fun. I thank you for the invite. And yeah, I would love to be part of more of these. They're really fun. I love talking video games. So this is really great. Yeah.
yeah. And then guys, let people know where they can find you. If you want to shout out your Facebook,
Oh,
Blue Sky, whatever, or your YouTube channel, stuff like that. I know it's going to be in the description below as far as their channels, but what you guys got coming up? I guess what projects you got going on?
yeah. I mean, like as we mentioned at the beginning, right? Like I'm on YouTube as the Comic Man. I'm on Blue Sky as the Comic Aztec, because I realized the three of us here we're representing all of North America.
Yeah.
I got Mexico locked down. Jason's got Canada locked down, and Vince got the U.S. locked down. So yeah. Um, but yeah, so I'm the Comic Aztec on Blue Sky. You can find me there. I'm also on Threads. I don't remember what I am on Threads, and I'm on Instagram as I think as the Comic Man or the Comic Aztec as well. I think yeah. So you can find me there. You can follow me, check me out if you'd like. I'm also on. I actually have two accounts on Instagram. The other one, the one with that's the gaming specific one, is called a Dan and Felicia Game. That's the gaming specific one. And so every time that we're about to stream, we will post on there. So if you follow that, you'll know exactly when we're going to be streaming. But yeah, that's me. And I guess I should mention since I'm here and you do have an audience, Vince. I'm also an author. I write books. I write children's books. The one we're most well known for is the Sherlock Sam series, which is
Nice.
available not digitally, ebooks everywhere that ebooks are sold. So, if you got kids, aged between 7 and 12 who like reading, who like mystery books, check out Sherlock Sam.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
That's,
Jason.
well, for the most part, you can find me on YouTube. It would be the Great White North Presents again. The links are there for my Blue Sky and trying to think of the other one I have on there at the moment, but um, I'm on Instagram as well. It's usually the Great White North Presents almost anywhere. If you were to find me, it'd be at that. Um, but yeah, the projects is usually streaming most of the time. But I do have something going on, hopefully for the end of the year, to get a few people together. I know you mentioned something about that that you're down for that to basically just have a conversation while we play video games.
Mhm.
Just say, hey, we're having a good time. We're gonna kick off the old year and going into the new, and that's my biggest project. But yeah, so streaming Silent Hill for now, and then I think I have a couple of big projects I might get into next year when it comes to certain games that I want to get back into, such as few RPGs that I want to play on the channel for the SNES area, which is my favorite system of all time. So, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and I don't know what I'm going to be streaming for this next Thursday. But y'all probably already watched me play Onimusha and um was it Friday we talked about G1 Transformers and we gave away the Optimus Prime. So I
Oh
can't tell
yeah.
you who won, but you will find out that day.
Shh, I won. No, I'm kidding. But
But y'all have a yeah, so thanks for coming out, hanging out. We'll catch you later.
cheers.